Hey, Mary,
What?
are we going to pledge?
Yes, we're going to pledge as soon as Bill gives me the okay.
Yes.
Well, wait till.
She isn't going yet.
I'm getting tired.
Okay. All right, we are good to go. Welcome to our April 29th combined meeting. Before we start out, this meeting is being recorded and streamed for public viewing. By participating, you acknowledge your image, voice, and comments may be captured and made publicly available.
The council starts with the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And we'll call our meetings to order. I don't know if these are in any particular order, so Mary, if you see anything that's on there council-related, let me know.
Okay.
But we'll start out with the county highway update.
I'm going to be somewhat rapid today because I'm supposed to be at my daughter's confirmation. I have two items quickly. I have a small structure inventory contract. We talked about this at the last meeting. I'm recommending that we enter into this contract with.
Did you pick up my stuff? But they handed out. Here, this is for you. Give me that receipt.
Okay.
Yeah,
Ready?
no, I don't have any of that.
I make a motion that we enter into a contract for engineering with Aegis BLM USA Incorporated. And it is for it is for structure. It's for $590 per structure. Additional structure beyond 470. So. Oh, yeah. All right, here we go. Here it is. Yeah, start that off a small contract. It's for $290,300, not to exceed.
Chip gave me his.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we enter into a contract for engineering services with Aegis BLM USA Incorporated for small structure inspections in an amount not to exceed $290,300. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes.
And the next item I have is for a letter of support. We are assisting McCordsville with a grant for the 67, 234, and 600 West intersection. This letter is not doing any fiscal commitments or anything. It's just saying that we are not in the way of their project. So this is a letter of support. Congressman Street. Intersection improvement project.
Make a motion that we endorse a letter to Jefferson Shreve, our congressman, and it's for an intersection at the corner of 267 and 234 and 600 West in McCordsville.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve this, what do we call that?
Letter of support.
Letter of support to Congressman Jefferson Shreve involving McCordsville Railroad Underpass project as presented. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes.
I do that. I'm not supposed to.
This is more for the council. We have not got word on our CAT 4 project grants yet this year. They usually release them at the road school, so they're just taking their time to see how Senate Bill 1 does before we see what grant money we receive. Old Jail and Prosecutor's Office, they have building permits for both offices at this point. They are under construction currently. New Pal Bridge 120 is on the way. CSX is struggling to get a new kind of inspector for a different part of it. We'll open up the bridge and we'll let people go on it until they get the new inspector, and then we'll close it again and finish the work at that time. I don't know it's CSX, so we'll play by their rules. Interchange agreement is being modified. We've removed the majority of the DEI items from it according to the Fed, so that is being done. Stage 3 estimates for our December lettings are $5.2 million higher than planned. A lot of this has to do with the tariffs, so we will see how that sorts out by the end of the year. I've already petitioned for NDOT for some relief on some of those additional costs. These are a bunch of projects where we receive 80% from the state. But of course, they're like, we've committed our 80%. If it goes higher, then it's on you. I'm like, well, I would like you to go higher. So you can see that chart here is kind of the impact there. I'll let you know later on in the year that goes, but that definitely affects us in some different areas. 600 West is underway. It'll be northbound only traffic on there for the rest of the year, with the exception of summer. That will close the 300 South, 600 West intersection. That way it'll be two-way traffic then both ways, so you don't get stuck going one way into a dead end. You can't do that. And then they'll open it to be northbound traffic again. Obviously, we do that so the school doesn't get completely jammed up at the time. It hasn't been too terrible. There is some stress at 5 West and 2 South, but we're getting through that. Pinch Jail from 3 West to 4 West is underway. We may need to reprogram due to material pricing. We are working on that right now, and I'll let you know. A lot of my stuff is already priced, but we'll adapt as that comes through. HSIP PE was approved, so those were 100% local, but now those PE funds will now be 80% matched by the state. That should save us about $620,000. That's a good pickup. State Road 9 TIF, I'll be paying some of that. There's a study required in that area to go to Mr. Higbee. It'll be about $75,000. We've already got the money allocated for it in the RDC area, but just keep an eye. That's just some stuff that's coming. That's something new that's hidden in that area. It'll be about $75,000. We were talking about CSX Bridge milestone is a be at the next. They're from the Plan Commission and they'll be at the next meeting. We'll talk about them at that time. Amplify update. We still are working on the drainage there and possible 300 North, but they'll give you a quick update later on. They'll give you a fiscal and physical percent complete. This is the detour on 6 West. The news already has this. These are some land grants that we are chasing in different areas throughout the county. We've got 9 Star willing to donate some land. We've got a wetland we're working on. Next level land grant. We've got several grants here. We're just trying to get some land for the citizens of the county to use, be wildland type stuff. So you can go fishing or walking in the woods or whatever. So we're still working on that. Working with, it'd be nice if we could help Greenfield out. Their baseline flood elevation is terrible. They're not allowed to account for a lot of their storage there, and that'll affect how a lot of people can develop throughout the city of Greenfield. So this is an area during the last rain event, and you see all the area to the left. This is north of the library. None of that water is accounted for in their calculations, which as an engineer, I like to calculate the real thing. That's what we're supposed to do. I hate for rules to affect real calculations, so we're talking about that. This is Amplify. You can see the big water backed up there on the Ferris property with the new drainage installed. Actually, that area to the right, we might help drain that quite a bit. So it'll hopefully protect some of his crop in the area. It's a nice side effect. You can tell Amplify is going up and the walls are going up and that project's moving right along. So. Mr. McDaniel went out to the I-3 area. We're going to have a soft load closure put in out there. We're going to clean up some of the construction debris out there. So that is underway.
He said that would be started in the next couple of weeks.
Someone was there today.
We've got 23 active projects, so that's a blessing on one hand because I don't think any other county is getting more grant funding coming in, but it's a curse on the other because the effects of the things going on in our environment expose us to stuff. I hope to win 2 more Cat 4 grants coming up, and we're just going to have to figure out how much the state can participate in our jobs. Right now, they've been participating really heavily for the last 10 years, and I hope they get to continue to do so. But we've got 23 active projects. Vincennes has 40, so that's a whole sub-district, has only 40 projects. So Hancock County is like a small sub-district, so we are busy. That's all of them there. So you have this list of projects. That's everything we're working on right now. It's $81.3 million of federal grant is what we currently have. Obviously, with a $5.2 million, I'm trying to get that picked up. So hopefully maybe we can get to $90 million here soon. We've already done about $100 million worth of projects. So, well, the taxpayer Hancock County didn't have to pay for. I guess they did. You pay state taxes and you pay federal taxes. We just brought it back here. So we're still working hard. These are different types of grants we use. take a look through them at your perusing pleasure and get a hold of me if you have any questions about it. We chase almost everything on there. If they're handing out money, you'll find myself or Ms. Scheidler there looking for it. This is the current Senate Bill 1 and some of the impacts. You might want to look through that. We're getting hit hard across the board. I don't want to read through everything, but our schools get hit. The county gets hit pretty hard. So the council will certainly want to look at this. These are troubles that are coming our way. Luckily, you guys have been very fiscally conservative. There is cushion thank goodness there's some cushion. It's not like 2009. There are potential big projects that can maybe offset some of this, things like that. So this is the problem du jour. This is the problem of the year is next year's tax revenue is going to be much lower. Specifically, next year for us will be 7.4% lower, 9.2% lower the following year, and then 2028, 13%. Now, these are numbers that I've got from some of the CP. They're still cranking on this stuff. But if you want to calculate that to real dollars, you're going to be a $1.3 million short next year, 1.8, and then 2.7. Big numbers. But everybody knows that. That is all I have for tonight. No more scary stories.
Question. They're getting ready to close State Road 9. What was that for?
State Road 9, they didn't quite get everything done on the first closure. It's okay.
So it's
So it's the same thing.
culverts running under.
Culverts, and I think this is utility
Okay.
setup. Yes, sir.
Game plan 13 here, is that Fortville Pike that you're looking at? Greenfield to
That's
Fortville?
I-3. The I-3.
I-3, yeah. Sorry,
it's I-3.
Mr. McDaniel is getting a game plan on how we're going to address the I-3 site, because they do not have a vendor to develop that, so we're trying to get it in a stable situation.
How about Fortville Pike then?
What part of Fortville Pike?
Greenfield to Fortville?
Greenfield, Fortville Pike, they're doing a roundabout at 3 North and Fortville Pike.
Yeah.
They're not any real need from us right now.
No, I mean like a major project to widen it someday.
I'm dreaming of it. I've applied for it in the last 2. I haven't got money for it. I'm trying. They don't. On one hand, they're going to do a roundabout for us at 6 North. They're going to do a roundabout for us at 6 North and Fortville Pike. And they're doing a roundabout. So they're doing the roundabouts, but at some point, if we're going to build that, we're going to relocate some people. So that's why it's difficult. They don't want to do the project, we're relocating people. But it's been a problem for a century. We need to probably address it at some point. I'm trying. It's just hard to sell to NDOT. They don't want drama. So. Thank you.
Thanks, Gary.
Thanks, Gary. Sheriff, next, if we can just move the coroner and his request just in front of you, then we'll fall back into the normal agenda list. So Rudy Nyland, Dave Stillinger, if you guys would like to come on up.
It's in your stack.
Good evening. Thank you for your time tonight. I'm Rudy Nyland with the Hancock County Coroner's Office. I've been a deputy coroner for over 18 years and done over 18 cases, but being a management in a office is a new deal for me, and I certainly appreciate the help I've had both from David Stillinger, the coroner 2 terms before me, and Chief Deputy Alex Barnes. So the reason I'm here tonight is to ask for a change in our staffing due to our caseload and more complex cases. We are seeing more time involved. Last year we did 160 cases. We have done 73 calls so far this year. So that means we're looking at about 200 to 220 calls for this year. So with a growing county, we're certainly having a growing caseload. Along with those caseloads is more complex cases. Anything that's a non-natural death takes a lot of time that isn't encountered. It's encountered on the scene time, family time, investigation time, record time, and autopsy time. So right now our staff is done by all part-time personnel. Our most difficult time of the day is the day hours, and if we had a change in some of that staff, it would be a real concern of possibly not having staffing during the daytime hours. And that daytime, Monday through Friday person would certainly be within our budget that we have, so we're not asking for more of the actual budget, but of course, I know the benefits is what would be the additional cost to the county. So I believe that you guys have a lot of paperwork, records in front of you. I'm also going to turn it over to David Stillinger, and then if you have any questions, you can certainly ask any of us.
Hello, everybody. It's been a little while.
You haven't been gone that long. You haven't been gone that long.
Oh, I know. Well, I'm awful nervous. I kind of agree, definitely with what Rudy is looking for. When I first started out, it was always about the office and where we are pointing the office. And being the largest growing county in the state, it's coming. And it just keeps coming. And with our office, you never know when you're going to have an ebb and a flow. And sometimes it catches you off guard. And if you don't have the staffing, when I was coroner, the daytime staffing through the week is usually the toughest. Even if you try to hire those type of individuals to be there with their changes in their lives and things like that, sometimes they're not as available. And we do rely on the deputies that are available through the days because a lot of us do have daytime jobs. And
Rudy, do you work during the day? Do you have a job besides being coroner?
That is correct. The elected coroner is a part-time position.
So you have a full-time job Monday through Friday?
I have a question too. This person, can they actually go out on calls if they get called? They have the credentials that they need?
Oh, absolutely. They would be the person on call Monday through Friday from 6 a.m.
Well, I assume so. That's what you were telling me, but I wanted to
It
be
is
sure.
a active investigator.
When you say on call, I mean, will they have other work to be done when there is not a scene to show up to, where they will be working 35 plus hours regardless, or?
That is correct. They will have, they will attend all autopsies that are Monday through Friday.
Yes, they do.
So they will be a relief for some of the part-time people. And it will be more consistency. We will be able to get records and I think reports quickly back to the funeral homes, cremation releases back to the funeral homes in more time, along with meeting with getting records to law enforcement.
And that's basically what Alex is doing now, and he has a full-time job. So, and, you know, I always have utilized, when I had my office, I utilized the deputies to help do some of the office work because it's hard to keep up with it when you have a job besides the coroner's office. And as you know, a lot of times these deaths happen in the middle of the night. And, but that their sole duty as a chief deputy would be fielding calls and handling all the office duties as much as possible through the week. So obviously then you'd have other deputies that would step in and help out when there's other calls through the week too.
David, can you give them kind of a bird's eye view too of when, like if you have an unexplained death and then you have to send someone out to investigate it and the autopsies are held during the day, and how that can create conflict when your deputy that's investigating a death has to leave their job to do an autopsy?
Fortunately, I think some of us have the latitude to leave the job based on their employer. When I was employing some of the other deputies, they could leave if we had available staff to cover what they were needing to do. But, you know, a call could take anywhere from an hour to 6, 7, 8 hours, depending on if it's on the interstate with a fatality and you're waiting on all sorts of things to happen before you can even remove the remains from that scene. And, you know, the deputies, it's kind of a passion. They don't get paid a lot of money, as you know. And we've always been trying to push the office forward, make sure they're getting paid well. But also, at some point in time, this office is going to start to lean towards more of a full-time office than a part-time office.
So that was going to be my question to you, Mr. Stillinger, is that it looks like some counties already have a coroner that's full-time. What would we need to do to move our coroner to full-time?
Pay them more.
Yeah, pay him the same, like, I understand, pay him. No, seriously, is there anything we have to do besides making them,
As the workload grows, as you have, we're still without a home, really. They're in the basement of the jail, the old jail. It's not the most desirable place to be, but at least they have a place to call their own right now. But with more vehicles, with more supplies, with more calls, and even more staff, hopefully as the years go on, you're going to have more administrative people to run that. And it's not easy to work a full-time job and run the day-to-day aspects because, we try to track all the 911 calls, and there's a lot of 911 calls that come in that are not 911 calls. They're funeral homes calling the 911 center just to get a hold of us. And that's the way we kind of keep everything concise and that it's trackable that way. So I don't know how many I saw today go through. And it can be a burden, but at some point in time, I know our office would like to have an office that's open and available for people to come to if needed. I know what we have designed is to have a place to show the remains if it's been an accident for identification, because the hospital really isn't equipped for that. They're equipped for us to rent their morgue and that's it. And even then, that can be very difficult just because of storage for decedents longer term than 1 or 2 days.
So the ask for the 26 budget is basically the benefits package minus $5,000. Is that what I'm seeing? I mean, our 25 budget is 146,000. The 26 working budget is 141,000. But what this budget here, the 26 budget doesn't include right now is the benefits package, which is the health insurance and stuff like that.
That is correct.
Okay.
We would be taking that from our.
Right, that would be an additional for us, the benefits
Don't mind, I'd like to give one more answer to your question. There are some elected coroners that have no medical, legal coroner training, and all our staff has coroner training. So that's something that if the county ever looked at, there are some elected officials that are strictly a administrative position. I have 1 day a week that I'm on call, so I'm making calls on every Tuesday or Wednesday based on my schedule. So I am part of the coroner on call system, part of my salary base. But I just would make sure the county knows that if we ever go into a salary system for full time, we would make sure non-administrative position, but an investigative.
So you'd make the elected position have requirements and, yeah, okay.
And I don't know, I didn't do the numbers. $70,000 for a person that basically has a high school education and maybe a 40-hour medical legal death investigator class. Might be on the high side.
Yeah.
Just because that'd be a great high school job. Coming right out of high school and going right into that. $70,000 is a lot to pay somebody that may not have a whole lot of education. And, but at the same time.
We wouldn't have to pay 70,000.
No,
No.
no, not at all.
And I think it's based on some numbers and looking at other counties and their caseloads. The counties are all over the map with some of their caseloads based on their population. So, it could be some different math done there.
So that's something we'll visit with other position requests in the upcoming
Yeah.
budget planning.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's on the list.
When you filled out your questionnaire that was sent out, did you specify that you would be asking for another person? So we kind of had a count going of the potential number of new employees that would be asked for 26. Did you put that on your questionnaire? This person?
I don't have.
Good information.
Honestly, this year, we are just becoming ingrained within county government because we have an office now. We, for the longest time, weren't.
We'd estimated around possibly 4 new employees for next year, so this would make 5.
So is any of this asked for this year? Or we're just talking about the 2026 budget?
Strictly be 2020.
You know, we're getting bigger, we're getting heavier.
You guys have to approve the position, and then we have to fund it. So
I,
this
Was it
is
already
part of the
funded?
process.
Was this already funded in this last year's budget, or this has not been funded?
no, it has not been funded.
Well, you're just reappropriating substantially the part-time funds? Is that what you're suggesting? That the reason your last year's adopted budget is sufficient to ask
We have
for it?
our deputy coroner fund it would be out of that, so, correct. That budget would be out of
So
that.
would we create the position and then just switch that money to go from the deputy?
And then we make
coroner
that-
All but the
fund to
benefits.
the-
Yeah.
There is
That's
no,
on the
with the
commissioners, so.
benefit?
And that's on you guys
benefits would be an
anyway.
increase to your budget.
But I would think that
Less $5,000.
if the commissioners are gonna be hearing, I mean, it was 4, now it's 5. I wouldn't be surprised if 1 or 2 more people don't show up before we do budgets and say, I didn't mention a new employee. Do the commissioners want to evaluate those individually? Or since it's for next year, do you want to look at all the needs collectively?
No, I think this one, I just wanted to get the information before us and council simply because, I mean, there is a need. And that's why I asked them to contact David, because it's not just their words saying it is a need, and it's actually a must really at this point in time. And I just thought we need a little bit more information. I didn't want to just automatically say, yeah, okay.
Right.
So, but I think that we do have the need.
Job description been written and is available to turn in when a decision's made about their qualifications, which is what's going to drive
We do have a
the
job
salary.
description and, get help from,
Kelly helped you.
And it's been shared amongst the commissioners thus far, so.
Well,
and we would get additional help from her. I mean,
yeah, for me and the council, I feel like if you have no problem with creating a job description position that's different within the coroner's office presently, then we can then act on what that job description
Yeah, when we have that.
creates when we do budgets for salary.
We have that.
And I would make a motion for a favorable recommendation from everybody for this position,
To create the.
to create the position that they're
full-time-
needing, full-time.
Full-time coroner position
For 2026.
for 2026.
So
It's
you're-
been moved and seconded
I
that.
guess I'm confused. So this person that you're discussing right now is for a full-time deputy coroner?
be a full-time deputy coroner
Okay.
working Monday through Friday for the normal 35 hours, but also be responsible for calls in that window of 6 a.m. to 6 p.m.
But the difference is it's not a full-time coroner, which is different than deputy coroner, correct?
Right.
True.
Because you are the
We've
coroner.
decided to word it as a coroner's position instead of a deputy coroner position. But that's where I think
But they will be a medical legal
oh, absolutely.
death investigator
Yeah.
by the state. Yeah.
First,
Yeah, I
we want
guess-
an experienced person.
Good county employee.
Yes.
Yeah, I think we need to shore up the job title. You said it's not going to be deputy coroner, it's going to be,
Maybe
It's going to be a kind of a dual position. Certified deputy coroner who can go out in the field and perform investigations. But when they're not doing that, they'll be office administrator. That's a long title to be on a business card, but
And they will attend the
Office
autopsies, which happen during the day, on behalf of the deputy coroners that might be investigating a certain death, but may not be able to get away. So this person would then attend, and they would field all the calls that come through 911, where's my loved one, and when can they be released, just as David had made mention of.
We don't,
We okay the budget, that's when.
exactly. We have no action, yeah.
So really, if we create the position, you just rotate the money potentially from where the deputy coroner had that to the full-time position, and the commissioners pay the balance of the health benefit. Is
Right,
that
and when he
correct?
turns in his budget to the auditor that will come before us to act on, that's when you need to get those shifts in place, so when we vote on, it will be in the budget. It'll be what your projection is for 2026, and the line items accordingly. There's a Form 144 that you list your actual employees, they would go on that 144. And if it's not filled, so you just put the title there. Yeah.
So we had a motion to approve the coroner. We would make this motion then, that motion be for the coroner's request for a full-time position with a title to be named at a later date, funded for the 2026 year for the daytime staffing of the coroner's office, with the benefits to be paid for by the commissioners. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. So there's a position created, then you do your best to bargain and banter with the council, and
But they're prepared, so.
I do just have one quick question, and you don't have to answer it at this moment, but I'm curious where the number, the 64,000 came from for this full-time position.
When part of it was meeting with Kelly and looking at other places, so it was kind of a group decision and a starting point. So,
other places meaning coroners that are around the donut around us, or?
well, we have that on one of those pages.
Yeah, it's on the second page here, Bill.
Okay, but it's got them all, like,
Whoever the.
we've got more than most of them.
I think from a
Well, maybe
financial
to be
standpoint,
exempt or
is I would
non-exempt.
like to know when it,
Whether or not he
before
gets
it
paid
comes
overtime.
before the council, I mean,
Non-exempt, he gets overtime. If he's exempt,
a
he
little
does
bit
not.
of better explanation of what the job roles and responsibilities are for, I mean, that's a very nice salary. Not that someone wouldn't deserve it, but
We would
how would it fit kind of throughout the county with other roles, or no role is like a coroner's role? That's my
And
question.
then a lot of it would be outlined in their job description that
Yeah,
they
and
can.
are you
push that out.
going to offer this as an exempt or a non-exempt position? An exempt position gets overtime. An exempt position gets no overtime. A non-exempt
It'll
position
be a
does.
salary, won't it?
Is salary?
It would be a salary, but you know what, I honestly would get with somebody to get a little bit further insight on.
Yeah.
Right,
But
it's a little-
at the
I
time
don't
they're hired,
know if
it'll have to be designated at that time.
You really need to meet with the auditors, somebody on the salary and all that, and work out all those little details. Because we do have specific base pays for specific administrative positions and stuff like that that's been created through the HR
I
department
was
in the
going to
last few
bring,
years.
yeah, I'm going to bring a report on that
And
for
so
our next meeting.
we'll have, it'll have to fit in there somewhere, okay?
Yeah.
They certainly have helped us out a lot too.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sheriff Burkhart, you want to come on up?
Hey, everybody wants more.
Was there two of them there?
Yeah.
Only got one.
He's got the other one.
Sheriff has the
Oh,
other
he's
one.
got them. Okay.
So I don't have them. I don't have it entire. Yes. So we have one surplus that we haven't done yet, which which is probably the one you have.
Right here.
The one that Bill's got is one that we had done previously that was given to Wilkinson. Now we need to surplus it to,
Okay. So I'll make a motion that we allow the sheriff to surplus a Chevrolet Tahoe C-1500 police vehicle, 2014 model year. And last four of the VIN number is 3272.
Second.
Been moved and seconded that we allow the sheriff to surplus to auction one Chevy Tahoe, or 2014 Chevy Tahoe, last for the VIN 3272 as presented. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes.
Let's do it.
Okay. Got that. Others?
so you have another one. Do you have another one there in front of you?
I got two. One is,
One, is one of them on the, so I know that one. That's, I know. There should have been an older other one.
yeah, it's this one. The last four is 4403.
Yeah, so that one was surplus back in, knows when, to give to Wilkinson. And they've given it back, and so we just
And you
need
just
to
need to surplus it to
surplus it
auction
to
as
sell it,
well.
yes.
Okay. So that's a
So we just need,
permission for the sheriff to surplus that vehicle to the auction.
I'll make a motion that we give the sheriff permission to surplus to auction a Chevrolet Tahoe 2015 model year. Last four of the VIN number is 440303.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we allow the sheriff to surplus to auction a Chevy Tahoe 2015 model year, last for the VIN 4403 as presented. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes.
All right.
You say you've got the sign.
I got that one taken care of.
Okay.
Yeah, we got that one. Just need to get it on record. All right, we're square on that. Secondly, I don't know, we need to maybe do the approval on the interview now agreement.
Oh.
That we missed, maybe.
Yeah, we,
Now agreement packet. We just need to motion it. Okay.
Yeah, we just need a motion on it. It was signed, it just didn't,
Yeah,
that one just didn't get a motion.
okay, I make a motion that we approve the signature on what's called?
Interview now agreement,
Interview now
agreement.
that we missed last meeting as presented.
Second.
Been moved and seconded that we approve the signature of the contract between the county and Interview Now. That was missed at our last commissioner
Done
meeting
after this year, I mean, next year.
as presented. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes.
I'm sitting over there
All right,
watching.
good, thanks.
Gotcha. You're welcome.
And so lastly, this is kind of for both boards. I just want to let you know that based off of last year's budget meetings, we decided that we were going to purchase cars instead of lease this year. So we ordered the 15 cars back 3 months ago. They will be built July 21st, or will start being built. So I assume sometime October we may receive those. But the cost associated to that is $792,900. That's $52,860 a car times the 15. So I just wanted to share it because that'll be coming to you at some point.
And that's coming out of the 23 bond, I think, right?
That's my understanding. There was a discussion was, yes, so.
Has that already?
As long as there's enough money in there.
Appropriated out of there.
I don't,
That's why I'm getting ahead of the ballgame here.
I don't think it's appropriated in there.
You think it is?
I don't.
I don't think it is
Are you
either.
talking about the 23 bond?
The 23 GO bond.
It says there's $23,000 available, but there's 1.79 already marked for projects.
Is that marked?
And there was a balance of
His
1.742.
is
So
in
then
the markup,
that 23,000 is all there is.
Till we appropriate it.
Yeah, no,
Is it already?
Jim
in?
thinks
it's already,
It's in there.
I
It's
think
in
it's
there.
part
It's
of the
in-
mark for projects.
it's in the mark for projects? Okay.
Okay. All right, that's all I want.
Okay.
As long as somebody knows.
We'll,
I wanted
As
clarification.
long as the price didn't go up.
Actually, the price went down a little bit, so we're locked in at that
I was
price.
thinking it was more
Yeah,
like
it was more now, so we were able to get it down a little bit more, so.
Wasn't it about 850 originally?
53 something, but now it's 52,860, so it come down a little bit, maybe $1,000 per car.
There's money.
So, okay, just want to let everybody know.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, that's all I had.
Thanks, Sheriff.
thank you.
Thank you, Brad.
The judicial officers for the new position for 2026.
Thank you. I think we sent out a packet about what we're here for, and this is kind of giving heads up as we're going to be asking for a juvenile magistrate for 2026. Juvenile magistrate is not the same as a magistrate for your guys' perspective. It doesn't go through the General Assembly. It goes through the Indiana Supreme Court, through the Indiana Office of Court Services. The reason we're coming to you for that. What?
Does that mean they pay for it?
The reason we're coming for you is they pay the vast majority of it, but under the code site, the county would pay $41,393. That's the portion that the county would pay. You guys probably heard about all the things down to their legislature, right?
Benefits?
They got rid of, they ultimately got rid of 2 judges, Blackburn and Monroe, and then they got rid of a couple magistrates. So they didn't get rid of as many as they acted like they did. But we currently are 8th out of 92 counties of need. Number 1 is Vigo County, Terre Haute, and number 2 is Hamilton. Okay? So when they say need, it's how many judges do you have? We have 3.9. Magistrate Coombs counts as 0.9. And we need 4.7. Honestly, if you counted the count of cases that are transferred into our county, which is not what they go by, we're 4.75 because we get more cases in than go back out. The reality of it is when you look at that, I reached out last September to the Indiana Office of Court Services and said, what do we do? Is I was feeling the pressure of, and I know my judiciary here was feeling the pressure of the cases are just going like crazy. We went from 4.32 to 4.7, okay? You don't get a jump of almost 0.4 in caseloads. It doesn't happen in a normal perspective of things. Unless you're in Hamilton County, then it happens, yeah. But when I sent you the information about all the county caseloads in 21 and 23 and 24, and the big thing is to understand that if you look back to 2005, I think it was back the time Judge Sirk was Commissioner Sirk, when you created that position, we had 63,000 people. You had 5 prosecutors and you had 26 sheriff officers out on the road. We are 2025, it's 92,000 people. There are 9 prosecutors and there's 50 sheriff's officers out on the road. We still only have 4 judicial officers. The cases are coming in. And I will tell you, I know because I've talked to Sheriff Burkhart today, they're down 2 officers. Chief Hartman, they're down 5 officers. When they start pulling over people like they used to before COVID, we're going to get tons and tons of more cases. It's going to happen. The criminal caseload upstairs has increased. The criminal caseload downstairs has not. Well, it's because of that. But the big thing is to realize we're growing. We're not going to stop growing. We're going to be past 100,000 people by 27, latest 28. us, Hamilton County and Hendricks County, is predicted by 2050 to be the 3 highest growing counties in the whole state. The reality of it is we just can't keep up. We missed the time period to go ask for a judge this time. Probably was a good thing we didn't go because we didn't have the numbers at the end of 26 yet. You have to start asking at the end of the year before the fiscal year that you're asking. So we can't even go back until 27 and ask, okay? And if they don't want to give you a judge, which right now it seems they want to get rid of judges and appoint magistrates, that's what they did. And if they want to do that, then you have to, even if you get a judge in 27, they say, okay, we'll give you a judge. You have to have an election in 28, so you don't get any help until January 1st of 29. So this way, yes, it is an ask in front of the county. It's $41,393. It would start next year. It's not today. And the reason is because it would get us help at the beginning of 26. It might even be February or March because the state has to approve it. I've been told from John Weiss, who works for, is Deputy Director of Office Court Services, every single county that has came in front of him for juvenile magistrate has been approved in the past. I talked to A.J. Johnson, who's now a magistrate up in Hamilton County. He used to work at that office as well, and he said every single juvenile magistrate has been approved. And everyone down there is saying, you could justify doing this because of your numbers. Again, we went from 20th to 8th. If the prosecutor's office can go for the same population from 5 to 9, if the sheriff's office can have 26 police officers go to 50, you have to realize the amount of work that's coming into the judiciary.
Judge, what does the state kick in towards salary?
Well, whatever Magistrate Coombs, I think we just calculated it out. I think you guys kick 5 and he gets 146 and change, okay? So they would get 146 minus the 41,393. That's what they would pay. And they pay the insurance. They pay the insurance, they pay for the difference. So basically that's $105,000 that the state pays plus the insurance. The
So
county
what's
pays,
the 41,000 for?
that's what the county would pay.
That's
Because
the
see,
difference.
it's not going to ask them like many counties got turned down. You go to ask for juvenile magistrate, people didn't get things. They were taking things away. They said you do it this way, it doesn't go to the General Assembly. Representative Lawson, Senator Kreider has no say-so. Senator Peter Jeter, he has no say-so. It doesn't happen. It's just in the Supreme Court. You go and show you need it, you get it.
Does that 41,000 include our portion of FICA or PERF, or are you saying that PERF and?
This is judiciary. That state takes care of all
The
benefits.
statute, yeah, the state,
Take care of all Cody's benefits, yeah.
And employment
Greg,
taxes.
yeah, the statute's very clear in regards to it.
Statutes, it's a
It's-
set number.
It's Indiana Code 333857, juvenile magistrate, source of salary. Of the annual salary of the juvenile court magistrate, which is the same as Magistrate Coombs, the county served by the magistrate shall pay $41,393. The balance of the annual salary shall be paid by the state from the general fund. And I have the letter that was sent from Hamilton County back in 2022 when they asked for the juvenile magistrate, and it said, yeah, they cover the insurance as well as other things too. So I have confirmed that, because I know that might be a question, is what happens.
Is that,
The state does cover
Sounds like a
that.
bargain.
is that person going to need, does what follows that person is
I'm
now we
sure.
need more administrative assistance?
Well,
Because
I can
about
s-
4
we can
months
s-
ago, we hired someone for administration that was supposed to lighten the
That was for
workload, but
Cody.
if that person
I
requires
can answer that
more.
question, and this is coming through Lisa. When we were having our salary study committee, the new person that we granted that is housed in Lisa's office, Lisa felt like that person could share the load with this new position, so there would not be an additional assistant or
Go ahead, you know
office.
better.
And I appreciate,
Unless you don't agree with Lisa.
that's been very helpful. Workload under control.
Yeah.
I've watched her workload, and she does have quite a big workload. It is a matter of time. And the juvenile magistrate, that's the reality of it. Our county's growing, and Judge Davis talked about we have to have the space built before we even do that, and we're several years away from that regardless. So we have to cover this increase in load that is going to become, and we have a few options. A magistrate that we can request. that whole pay comes out of the county. Salary. We can do part-time, try a part-time commissioner, which
What we're just trying to do is determine what the total ask is. Is there a place-
$41,393.
a place for the person?
$41,393.
Okay.
Councilman Shelby.
Are they
I
gonna
have,
set-
we're not making a request at this time. I don't know if it'll all work out. I do know this. Candy Bush is taking care of Magistrate Coon, a lot of his queue. My staff knows that. They can tell because it's not going to them. Okay? That's just a straightforward, honest answer. Okay? I can't say down the road there won't be a say, hey, we need this because you'll have 2 magistrates running. It all depends on the caseload. But
I'm just saying, if a person comes in, where are they going to go?
Where's
their office?
Physical space. That's fine. I
Chair
talked
and
to Ms. Lofgreen, and she has said, interestingly, I didn't realize it, but there's no elections this year, so she's scanning everything on the north side of her offices. That would be next to Superior Court 2, if you understand the dynamics where it's at.
So
there will be nothing there. And then she's making a lot of room in the map side of her offices, so there won't be things there. She said we will be able to house a juvenile magistrate, and she would also be able to house, if necessary, a staff person. But Magistrate Coombs is right. It's helping out tremendously. I don't know, because it all depends on the caseload, whether it was a result. And we are not here today to say, hey, give us a juvenile magistrate, pay your $41,393, and give us another employee, because I don't know that one is going to be necessary.
we're just putting you on note.
I appreciate your transparency and that an admin need will follow. And my last question, and if you touched on it and I missed, I'm sorry. The juvenile magistrate means they can take on what percentage of what currently exists?
Take on some of the juvenile caseload. I mean, things change. It's my intent that I'll continue to. They only have to take a share of the juvenile case. We just need to make sure that a portion of that
They
juvenile
are.
case is designated for that individual.
And then they would, you would delegate to them, or all 4 of you would delegate to them?
I don't know if we're far enough along the process to determine how that changes.
If you look at caseloads, like a divorce is DN, no children, DCG, divorce with children, okay? So J, you have to have the J numbers. It's juvenile Chin's case, juvenile termination, JCJT, juvenile detention. That's a juvenile who's got in trouble with the law. There's also a couple other little minor JMs and JSs that we'd hardly see any cases in. So Magistrate Coombs he'll be running for Superior Court 2 when that time comes, and that's to be next year. The plan is we change the laws, which you can't do anything about it now. We change the laws this summer. Then in 27, we put that it can go to have JTs and JCs will go downstairs, a juvenile chins and the juvenile termination cases, which he currently handles the vast majority of right now, for both circuit and my court. That would go downstairs. And then F6 cases would ultimately be split, so they would be even between all 3 courts. F6 felonies, that will even things out within the courts as close as we can possibly get. But we'll already be close at 1.6. That means 1 judicial officer, 0.6 of judicial officer. I count as 1, Judge Cirque counts as 1, Judge Marshall counts as 1. Magistrate Coombs, for all 3 courts, he's divided by 3, he counts as 0.9, divided by 3 is 0.3. We're down there. And one person asked, what if our population doesn't change, our caseload doesn't change, what happens? Okay, we're still in the same boat. We're not going to fall down to, we're going to be no lower than 40th out of 92 counties. The issue I'm saying is we grew from 20th to 8th in 1 year. 1 year.
Two things. I got a question for Greg first, and then I got a question for you. Can EDAs, we can use EDA money for police and fire, and we use the police because we've added X amount of officers, so we constitute a certain amount of money for that. So why isn't can the judicial system be viewed as the same way? If we're getting increases, and you see what I'm saying on how we.
I see what you're asking. I think it was pretty narrow. So subject to check, I'm gonna probably not out of the, but we need to.
Okay, then if not out of the EDA, then what about the other monies in the future?
It'd have to be property taxes or levy.
Okay.
And I'll give you an update. Obviously, you'll get a legislative update. I'll give you a number update on those.
Okay.
How about out of the RDC?
That's what I was, about other.
That's where you were going.
That's where I was going.
Well, I think that it's still defined as public safety from the RDC, so.
Public safety?
It's a Lisa Lee question, is what you're saying.
Yes, that would be a Lisa Lee question.
Okay. Then the commissioners have Bill has a real good relationship with Lisa Lee, you could ask. The next question.
Sadly, I don't think that, I mean, I like you, but I don't think I'd qualify judges as public safety. I will have that feeling, but I'll still ask.
Okay.
They were,
I'm searching.
some emergency people when COVID started.
You can't leave any stone unturned.
No.
The next question is, when is that building, when are we going to have to do something to supplement that building? When do we need the fourth court?
If I had to
These
guess.
projects take 5 to 10 years. Okay.
I don't know when you're going to get done with the prosecutor's office, maybe this year, I don't know. You got to get a roof on the old jail, then you got to build that out, so you can move probation over there. My guess is 27. Then, and then you got to work on the courthouse. I don't think you're going to be able to work on the courthouse until 28.
It'd be nice to have it.
And I spoke to Mr. Garatas today and asked him that similar question, so that's probably going to be in our commissioner ask, whether you look at it as general upkeep of the courthouse.
I know, that's what I'm getting at.
Space.
Yeah, because the plan is this clerk's office would be the next court.
They get around to that.
That would make the most sense there. So you'd have a court like Judge Superior 2 would be over on the other side, pretty similar, and that would give you 4 courts, and the magistrate courtroom is being refigured so we can actually start using it some, but you can only fit like 25 people in there.
Well, I mean, the commissioners are in charge of any new projects. Yeah. But they take so long, it's sometime we got to sit down and talk about new projects.
Yeah. Well, I don't know that you're going to get another court done till 2030, so you're in an election, you're 6 years out. I think if the numbers keep running even slower than they have been running, we're going to have a need of about 6. Well, then what do we do? So.
I know. That's why I'm.
I have a question.
Sure.
It's just a quick one. So they don't want to have that many judges now. They're going to magistrates. Is the reason for that, part of the reason, let's say, is that the judges, they fund most of their salaries, and the magistrates, they don't fund as much?
The magistrates make 20% less than the judges, so they're funding less judges. But what I've been told, and I from calling downtown and stuff, if they have a magistrate, they can get rid of you at the end of the year. If they have a judge, you are elected for a 6-year term. Blackburn County is losing a judge, but not until the end of 2028, because they have a term to go through. And when they originally had this of like 11 judges losing jobs, one of them wasn't going to be out until 2030, and so they had just started the term. So they have to wait. So if you have population changes that are vast, they have the ability to go in and say, you lose a magistrate, it's easy. I lose a judge, I still got to pay him 3 more years.
They want to avoid, they don't want to create more courts, they want to move the courts. We have, keep the same number, we have to reallocate those servers. And that's the ability with the elections, that's also hard.
Makes sense.
Hamilton County did get 2 judges and 2 magistrates. I know Senator Kreider and Representative Lawson are great people, and they'll do well to assist us, but they got that done. Their half was about 12, but they were already over 17. So it was like, what do they do? And we're not going to be Hamilton County guys. We're not going to get there, but we're going to get up to over 5. Hopefully it's not next year, but I think it could be. We're going to get there. And so this is a way to make it be that we can stay in the courthouse, we can make it work until we can get the courtroom built. Once we go back and get the courtroom built, we're allowed to ask to turn that juvenile magistrate into a judge. And then you can do that. But it's just a question of what they'll do. And as Magistrate Coombs was kind enough to tell me, General Assembly is going to change. Just like your positions change from different times, they change a lot more. And so you don't know what you're getting in 2 years. The representatives, they had 9 judges losing their jobs. Came out of the House. Came back from the Senate, it was 2.
When did you say is the application window? So if this is decided by the July budget meeting for 2026, you can ask the
Yeah.
state to partake at any time throughout the year?
Yeah, you get a resolution saying we're going to pass this, we request this. We would send down to the state. I was told the fastest they've ever seen it done is 5 to 6 months. But I've been told it could be up to 9. But until you sign it, and we sign it and send it down, we got to send a whole package and stuff. So kind of like some of the stuff I sent to you. I sent just the populations and stuff. And interesting, I didn't know the populations until I started looking it up. Hancock County, from 20 to 25, we're the fastest growing county in the state. We went from 80,180 people to 92,264, and that's this year.
Bill, did you guys make a motion? I can't remember if you made a motion to support adding a new position.
No, they
Not yet.
We've
I've not done that yet.
And we knew the budget's coming up, but I've been told, and yes, I put it on my thing that we would want to ask, and I told Lisa we're going to ask for this, but I've been told, don't wait till budget. Come here before us and tell us what you're going to be doing because you're asking for something. I mean, it's $41,000. I know in the big picture it's not the massive ordeal, but it's not like just give us $1,000, okay?
Well, part of the reason I think is we do the budget all in one day, so it gives us time to think about and consider, for those special asks.
Well, that's why we're here. We just giving you a heads up. This is what's going on. I gave you some of the info.
Thank you.
Make a favorable recommendation.
And it's for, what's the title going to be for this person?
Juvenile magistrate.
Juvenile magistrate.
That means that they're required to handle some juvenile cases.
I'd make a motion to send a favorable recommendation to the council for a junior magistrate for juvenile,
Vaginal.
It may be,
juvenile magistrate.
20,000 for a junior magistrate, and 40 for a.
Dang. Thank God.
I will second.
It's been moved and seconded that the commissioners give a favorable recommendation to the creation of a juvenile magistrate position to be considered by the county council for funding. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And before we leave, if you have time at 10:30 on May 9th, we're doing the Walk for Wellness with my behavioral health court out on the plaza. So if you got time, stop by. Okay?
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Judge.
Thank you.
Judges.
Judges.
Somebody else.
Well, Caleb.
Caleb, right there.
Caleb Brooks. Caleb Brooks.
Keep going.
Hello.
Hi, Kayla.
Ava.
Well, how are you all tonight?
Good. Oh, we're peachy.
Just a moment.
They printed.
All right, I got 3 things to discuss with you tonight. The only one, and I'm going to start with it so I don't forget, that I really urgently need action on is for Scott Williams, who is on vacation this week. So I was sent here with his request for the Unsafe Building Fund. He would like to request permission to advertise for a public hearing for the next council meeting. And let me know if I'm wrong on how I'm saying any of this. For the next council meeting, for an amount of $11,600 to be funded to the Unsafe Building Fund for the demolition of a building that was declared unsafe. He collected 3 different bids, and this was the lowest. I'm happy to give you more information if you need it.
Is that the one on 250 and
It's a,
250?
is it the Spring Lake?
Yes.
Oh, it's the Spring Lake burn?
The firehouse.
Thank God, yeah, that is very dangerous, yeah.
Did the commissioners approve the bid?
This is the first time we've
I
seen
haven't
it.
seen the bid.
Can it not be just questioning, fire departments are always looking for trainings. Can it be utilized by one of the local fire departments? for
It's
training?
already.
It's
It's
down.
It's already burnt.
Yeah,
It's done.
she put it on fire twice that day before she got it burnt most of the way down, so, yeah.
And we
Just
haven't
always
seen the
asking
bid,
for an
Scott.
opportunity.
We have not seen the bid,
It's-
but we were told by
Try
Scott
again.
Williams that if it was under $25,000, it was something that didn't need to be bid out, that he could go ahead and give the approval to get that done.
And I don't know that we need to advertise if we have plenty of funding. I mean, I guess, where would we want to fund that from? But didn't we
Well,
allocate from
there's
food
a
and
fund.
beverage?
Yeah, we set up a fund, I think, didn't we, Mary?
There is
Yeah.
a fund, it's not appropriated. However, the cash balance is only $2,185.50.
We'll have to move money. And didn't we recently appropriate more food and beverage for things that come up? Where what was that, like 200 or 250?
I think.
Is that where we would want to pay it from, or is there a more appropriate source?
Yeah, I would think so in there, yeah.
That's what
Yeah.
I think about that
Yeah.
fund being, is just that we don't
Scott has the authority
anticipate.
to-
So,
Is that a motion?
So we don't, I mean, I can make a motion just to, okay, and it was 11,600 even?
Yes.
Okay, I'll make a motion to appropriate $11,600 from allocated food and beverage funds to the unsafe building fund for Scott Williams.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes.
Welcome.
Second item. I did want to give you an update on the planning department staffing needs. So we are a little bit busy over in planning right now. We are dealing with a lot of different projects going through, quite a few spring permits coming through, along with some big projects that are requiring a good deal of analyzing before action can be taken on them at the Plan Commission or Board of Zoning Appeals or elsewhere. So I wanted to give you an update that I've got two different thoughts moving forward on how to handle the workload in the planning department. First of all, an assistant planner will start on May 27th. So that hire has been made. We are really excited for her to start at the end of May. In the meantime, we are still dealing with an up-and-coming retirement. So we will have a zoning inspector position open in July. So one option would be to open that as a trainee position with a few months of salary to go with it as overlap, more or less. Although at this point, if you look at the way the dates are lining up, if this position were posted, we'll say over the course of May, interviews in June, quite possibly we're already at a point where hiring wouldn't occur until after we have an open position anyway. So I am, I guess, exploring some options with that. But definitely looking at posting the position for the zoning inspector trainee sooner rather than later. I guess with everyone's permission, of course. Additionally, an option to hold us over as we train new staff and also deal with vacancies would be contract services with Code Crafters, which is led by Deborah Luzier, who's also working on our UDO through GRW, and Banning Engineering, who has one planner who's entry level, but is also willing to learn. So two different options. The Plan Commission has kind of let me know that their choice would probably be for the more experienced of those two, which is Deb and her team at Code Crafters. But basically, these are professional planners that can hop in however much you need them at an hourly basis. I do have $10,000 appropriated already to my contract services line item. That, in this case, would buy me about 80 hours or 5 weeks if you looked at it as maybe 2 days a week worth of time and help kind of just catching up with the day-to-day or having an extra body here at a plan commission or BZA.
I like the idea of possibly getting that position advertised and hired before, is it Darla?
Yes.
Before Darla leaves, and then that person could get some direct training from her, as opposed to hiring someone that will have to come in and be trained themselves a little bit on our county, and then they'll be leaving. So
Have you started making motions of recruitment and
Okay.
have you started the process?
No.
Or are you still just counting on contract help?
I'm not counting on contract help. I have my eye on a few folks that I interviewed for the assistant planner position, to be honest. I'm kind of looking out of that pool as well, but I know I have to post this position and see who is interested.
Right.
So no, I need to post that position still, but I didn't want to risk having a gap that was too big and then losing an applicant potentially.
Do you know
That makes sense.
if you're going to, it'll probably depend on who you hire, but if that person will start or their salary will be close to what you're paying Darla right now?
Yes, that's the hope, yes.
So there won't be any residual money left from not paying that person as much that we could use to compensate the hire early, and it'd already be kind of in the budget.
So are you suggesting you need funding to pay for someone the few months of the overlap time? And what did you say that amount would be that's not in your budget?
I would have to go back and figure that now that I know that's kind of where the interest lies.
Yeah, she didn't make mention of that. What she has made mention that we have, 2 months until Darla's position is gone into retirement. So,
Oh, it's
you know,
only
to
2.
recruit, hire, and train, we're going to have to get on the stick. And so that there is time to have some overlap with Darla because she carries a very big weight in your office.
Maybe that 10,000 that you said you could put towards consultant to come in, could that money go towards hiring that position early and pay them until Darla retires?
But she's drowning now and needs a consultant. So really, we're talking twofold here. You need some additional monies to, so that they can train alongside of Darla. And then we also need monies to pay your consultants to keep your head above water.
That's the position I'm
Okay.
feeling myself in, yes.
Okay.
So, like I said, I don't know that I really expect action on either of these tonight. I know that if the decision was made to sign a contract with Code Crafters or Banning Engineering, something like contract services, that would be an hourly on-call kind of contract that then we could just call on them to, hey, we need to start utilizing this, say 1 or 2 days a week. We need you to come up here and help us out. We've had a big project get turned in, something like that. And those are people with the resources to go back to at their companies as well and say, oh my goodness, they just got a set of plans like this. We've never, how do we, we've got the resources in our office to look over this. So there's an interesting capability that those offices do have, but they are expensive. And so so anyway, yeah, that's one option, I guess. But like I said, I'm happy to bring back maybe a more concrete recommendation, but I did want to update you as to where my office is at.
I think
right
we
now.
did kind of address it at a commissioners meeting, and we really weren't interested in the entry-level person because we're
Yeah.
paying them for us to train her. So
Yeah.
I believe, if I remember correctly.
Might have made more sense with all the activity going on that if we did select an outside source, it would be somebody with experience and not to
It
train.
can really help you.
So is there interest, I guess, in signing the contract with Code Crafters and then kind of having that as at least as a,
That's the more experience.
yes?
Yes.
But that's temporary, right?
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
if you need them.
Yes.
So then I would question, is there a commitment financially if you sign a contract for 3 months? We have to use them so many times, we have to already pay them money. Is this money that could have been put towards other things? Or do you know right now, you could say, I need someone's help in 3 weeks because my office has this and this and I don't have the staff to do this. I don't have the staff, experienced enough staff to do this and this. Or is it a, what if I need them? I guess that's kind of where I'm struggling is, do you need them now? And there's something happening that your office isn't being able to cover, you don't have the staff, you don't have the staff experience for, or is it, what if I have something come up? Because dealing with the money and the what ifs is.
Yeah, I mean, our office continually deals with whatever comes in on a day-to-day basis, sometimes falling further behind, but we do handle it. I think that's, so it gets handled, but it would be nice, I guess, to have that kind of ability to call on help if we did need it.
We would need a contract for them to take a look at, because just like Tammy says, we wouldn't want to get in any kind of agreement that, by the way, we're paying this fee for this short of time, probably some kind of time and material relationship where you're just paying for hours used.
Okay, yes,
And
that's
that's
my
it, but that would be in a document we'd need to take a look at.
I know I've sent it to you three. I don't know that I sent it to Scott Benke. Would you like me to send it to Scott Benke?
Scott will need to review it just to make sure it's okay.
All right, I'll resend that and make sure he's copied on it.
All right.
Thank you.
And I think the council, do we agree that her hiring somebody prior to Darla leaving and able to get some hands-on trainings from Darla, that we support that?
Yeah, it sounds like even if you start putting that out there right away, you'll be lucky to get any overlap at all. I mean, you said what, we're 2 months out, right?
Yeah.
So even if we started today, you're talking about 2 months of salary overlap, not to exceed what we were paying Darla would be the new person's salary. So I would be agreeable to just hiring that replacement as soon as possible and creating as much overlap
Try to
as you
get her,
can.
and try to get her in there with Darla before she's gone.
All right, sounds good. Yeah. No, thank you for support on that and guidance. Okay, final item.
Still have something?
One more thing. Yeah, I had two more come off the
Is it
agenda.
legal services?
So I've got legal services to discuss as well. The rest of it I'll have to wait till May 6th, so that won't be bad. But legal services, unfortunately, or I guess fortunately, our county's growing, and we've got lots of things going on in the legal services department. But I have spent 75% of my legal services budget already, which means I'm not going to make it to the end of the year. And I knew I was going to spend more money, but I didn't know I was going to spend this much more money this quickly.
What's the causation?
What?
What's the causation?
We've had 2 cases go to the court to truck parking lots versus the BZA on BZA proceedings. And also the UDO has needed legal review, commitments for a project out on I-70. Those are the big ones. And then, of course, just general matters, which if it was just a general matters, I'd be in budget. But, yeah.
Because, and I didn't mean to cut you off, but, you know, I wondered what the legal issues were, and for 2 reasons. One is, are they RDC related, right? Do these happen to be issues that are taking us out of budget that have to do with TIF-related property? And if the answer to that is yes, I think the TIF's pretty tight on funds in the immediate term, but that's something to consider budgeting for. And also, I noticed it's showing that the 5% abatement fee to the HEDC, is that every year? Because when that was passed, I didn't think it was the full length of the abatement, the 5% abatement fee.
It's 5% of the cost savings. It's not 5% of the taxes due, but it's, if the abatement is
Of their savings.
The savings,
Of
okay.
whatever they saved that was abated, then they pay the 5% on that.
But I'm just thinking, if we have a cost that's notable or consistently growing related to economic development in TIF districts, I really think we should be looking at RDC and HEDC and whether it makes sense to ask some of that bill be footed via some of those other means.
The 5% is something that we agreed to and stated we could reduce that to 4% and take the difference and direct it straight towards.
Well, there's a law that covers what you can spend that for.
Well, true, I'm just saying though, but we don't have to collect 5% and send that to HEDC.
No, you can go up to 15.
Yeah, or down to 4.
Or 0.
Yeah.
Yeah, can.
Yeah, I was just thinking if it's over, if we're overfunding that, right now, which we're funding it pretty heavily, that maybe the difference could be steered towards,
Is what you said, one of the things was the interstate project?
Yes, Stoneland.
Right.
I've looked, and so far, just in like the first
HEDC is.
year to date, about $2,500 out of my legal budget.
Okay. I'm wondering if we have a budget already for the interstate project.
What do you mean?
We have money already set aside for the interstate project, because we spent $300,000 on a
Sound like it's
survey for
like it's kind of
in the last few years. I mean, we've been spending money on that project for a long time. I wonder if there's a fund that, she's not talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars. You're talking about, $10,000 here, $10,000 there.
Good reach out to Gary Poole.
So there might be some already set up scenarios for some of that stuff, that instead of the planning commission eating those funds, if the projects are already live.
But if we got ongoing projects that are gonna require just more legal matters, why, isn't it just general fund expense?
Yeah.
I mean,
I just don't know if legal matters can be paid for out of TIF monies. I don't know.
Well,
yeah.
I mean, I know about the economic development, TIF monies can be used to provide infrastructure, and then the public safety thing and operating expense. I just don't know if that can be used to.
Well, and it's not an answer I could come up with tonight, but I guess my point there is that if it is an ongoing matter and it is gonna grow and so forth, if we can see that the shortage each year is due to a certain type of development or a certain area, looking at all the ways that that deficit can be funded beyond the general fund with individual property taxpayer dollars. Is it economic development earmarked funds? Is it other buckets of money? We don't have to figure it out tonight, but I'd like to know. Huh?
I would think they can, because we're paying legal fees out of it already. We do have attorneys that work for the.
Yes, we do. But I'm not sure if they're paying legal fees and actions as far as, going to court.
So what do you anticipate being short if you had to guess today for the calendar year?
$20,000 to start.
Is that something that we want to, are you short immediately? Do you have
No,
outstanding bills?
I have about $11,000 left in that line item.
So do we want her to come back? Do we want more information on certain fund numbers and?
Do you want me to check with Lisa and send just an email message amongst all of us to see if that even is remotely possible to pay for those things out of TIF money?
Is that the only project? You had another project at parking
Yes.
something. Is that in the same area?
There were 2 truck parking lots right next to each other on 700 West that total about $10,000 in legal fees. I inquired from our attorney if it was possible to ask for those to be funded back, and they said no, that wasn't a possibility in that case. But yeah, that's 2.
So even if they are wrong and in violation and it's deemed so through a process, that your attorney expenses are not reimbursed?
If it is simply a violation, sometimes we are able to get some money back. However, in those 2 cases, I believe it was an appeal of a BZA decision. I don't know the details beyond that.
It sounds like we're gonna have additional things in the future that we really need to know if that's caused, you know what I mean? She's got 2 or 3 issues already that are putting her out of budget because of that area, so.
I would say, and this is just my own opinion in that the bigger we are, the more that these people, whether they're developers or businesses, will do that.
Yep.
And that we will
We
probably.
need to look at this
Might
as
well
a,
figure it
having a
out now. We can
permanent
fund some of it from that.
For
flow of
that,
money going to
just
it.
those challenges.
Yeah. Yeah. Because the
I
money.
think we're all on
is
board.
there.
We've just got to figure out what fund we're going to
Yeah.
from.
And I would like to point out too, I'm not, I guess I recognize that costs are going up and I don't like having to come back here and ask for this repeatedly. We did raise our fees recently to try to account for some of these increased costs we're seeing. It's just simply hard to keep up. And it's not fair to spread it equally across every petitioner that we have come into the county, so.
And I don't think anybody wants you trying to function without adequate legal counsel either.
True.
So we just have to figure out the best way to keep it funded properly.
I have a quick question though. The BZA is 5 people, is that correct?
Correct.
And do you know, are any of the BZA appointees from the council?
Yes. Oh, council, no, they can't be elected.
Okay, so,
They'd be independent judges. They're essentially independent judges.
well, I'd read in the paper that the last BZA meeting was canceled due to not having a quorum. And I just think that's terrible, that they have these people on these agendas and they've waited all month or got their experts in line or their attorneys on call and then they show up and then there's no quorum. I don't know who the appointees are made by, but I think either the president of that BZA needs to start putting a call out to make sure he's got a quorum before he moves forward with the meeting. But I don't like the fact that they cancel a meeting at the moment because they don't have enough people show up.
Me neither. And we are looking at different ways to respond in those situations. We had a day to prepare for that cancellation because we knew we weren't going to make quorum. So something I would like to discuss more with that board is, hey, would it be appropriate to set an alternate date? If we're not able to meet this day, let's find the day we are able to that isn't a whole month away because that is unreasonable for the public.
Yeah, I agree.
That's a good idea.
Okay, well, I'm glad you're looking at it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you. Legislative update with Rhonda Cook.
Oh, I think you have somebody, we have an agenda item before that. I wasn't sure what that was about, but.
Yeah, the part-time field officer
Oh,
liability.
sorry, Carrie. I'm sorry. So I had it marked off here. I marked it when Judge Davis
Wishful
and
thinking, right?
the other judges came up, so I apologize.
So this evening, we're not talking about liability. I think that that's going to be a conversation that we have to have at a later date. So we're not talking about that. What I wanted to talk about this evening is increasing our part-time field officer that we currently have to go to a full-time position in 2026. We currently have about 25 hours a week and pay them $35,000 that was in the budget for 2025. And so we're asking that we maybe increase that to either between $50,000 to $58,000. That's what the other field officers in the county are getting paid. And so what we've done for 2025, we did ask for a grant for it, and it was denied. And during that budget meeting, you said if it was denied, we could come back and ask for it. We're not asking for it this year. We're asking for it for 2026. We've asked for it. We've asked for a grant for 2026, also for the field officer position, to make it a full-time position. So we haven't heard back from that yet. So we're kind of in a holding pattern for that. And what this will do for our program is allow us to do more drug screens on the weekends, because that's when our people are relapsing or getting away with it, right? That's going to increase public safety. That's also going to help us increase and beef up our community service projects. And that could benefit drug court, that could benefit community service or community corrections, that could benefit probation if we have a field officer that's dedicated also to do community service hours. That's very restorative practices, so it would help the community as well.
Is this something, and you may have said it, I just didn't catch it.
You're fine.
Is this something that you're asking for the 26 budget or
For 2026, yes, ma'am.
It's just for 2026?
Yes, not this year.
So they currently work 25 hours, are not eligible for benefits. You're asking to make them full-time with benefits.
Yes, ma'am.
Got it.
Do you foresee yourself needing also a part-time person? Do you still have do you have additional part-time positions?
It would just take we only have one part-time position, and that's our field officer position, and we would just want to bump that up. Right now, we're kind of in a conference room, all 4 of my staff, and so we don't have room for another staff member, so we would just make our part-time field officer a full-time field officer. So that's the ask.
Last year, when we came in front of you, we asked to go to $50,000 and still keep a part-time. The thought was maybe 3 days. We were trying to figure out how to get there. Because what we found is that we went to randomized screening. We do swabs, okay? So that, anybody can do it. We have 2 people come in on the weekends. You got to have somebody come in on the weekends. You can't just have one. Have somebody honesty who's wearing integrity, a field officer would. And the thought is that we're missing people. People know if you've got a test on Thursday, you already got your 2 for the week. You're not going to get one until Monday.
But what would be the argument that that's the right move when we could hire another part-time for those hours? Because if they already work 25 hours a week, and we make them full-time, they work 10 more hours a week, but we bump their salary 20,000, then we have another 35,000 of benefits. So our cost goes up 55,000 a year to get 10 more hours a week out of somebody versus just spending another 30,000 to have somebody available another 25 hours a week.
Yeah, I think some of the concern is, like I said, we're in a conference room and there's already 4 staff in there. So if we added a 5th, it would just be like, we would be
You don't have space to add a person?
Yes, absolutely.
I thought they were working different. I thought we needed.
If we
Yeah, they were going to work weekends and other hours.
Yeah,
They're
but the
working
thing
different
is trying to figure somebody, hey, we work this and work that. You're right, Councilwoman Bertram. It costs less to do part-time, and that's exactly what we asked for last year, okay? But our thoughts were, if we're going to get somebody full-time, they don't have to work the same hours all the time. They can work the weekends. If that's not available and you don't think that's available for the budget for 2026, we have talked about, can you increase that to 50 so we could try to get another person to be able to week on weekends or the days the part-time person isn't working.
You're saying increase the part-time?
Yeah, increase it from 35 to 50, 55, something like that, because we're trying to, they're all getting paid $25, $29 an hour, somewhere in there is a range. And they're going to be there in all reality. It's evenings so they can do tests. They're going to go on the weekends to the houses and things of that nature. We have to have somebody who can take care of their own and be able to carry, but we also have to have somebody that's going to be there in the hours that is not 8 to 4, Monday through Friday. And I want to tell you, I know we send you requests to come over for graduations. Come sometime. It's wonderful what's happening, and the lives are changing. It is absolutely wonderful to see this happening. It's just, we have some people that like to play the game. They know. And since we went to the randomizing last year, Carrie can tell you, right? Mm-hmm. Amazing. Because we're having nearly as many dirty screens. They were knowing. They even admitted, yeah, I was getting away with it. And so this is a lot more comprehensive than if you go to probation. I have no knock on probation, but they don't test nearly as often as we do. So we're trying to keep them honest. And if we can test them on the weekends, we can check at nighttime. Think about what community corrections used to do, and they always went out. I went there to find you're at your job. You're where you're supposed to be in that. If we can understand they're being watched, they're going to be more responsible, and that means they're going to be cleaner. And we don't have everybody have drugs, but be responsible to all their actions. So, if the thing is insurance is going to cost us $20,000 more in salary and then $35,000 for insurance, I understand that. And if that's not possible, we've talked, okay, well, at least increase that so we can try to get another person to do those other hours. And this is, again, just the ask for 26. We just came in advance.
Yes.
Instead of showed up at budget in
that's
July
nice.
and said,
Thank
hey.
you.
That's a plus for us.
Yeah, and we did put it on the allocation ask for, when I submitted that earlier this year. You know what I'm saying, about
That'll
that
give
will
us
be
a little time
happening.
to absorb what we.
Are the commissioners comfortable with the council considering the addition of part-time funding rather than the creation of another full-time position for this?
I think we'd save more money.
For sure,
When do you expect maybe to find out about this grant, if it's going to potentially be?
Last year, we found out, I think it was in August or September.
Yeah, I thought.
After the budgeting.
It's after the
It
budget.
was.
Yeah.
And I was just going too late in the year to come and ask. And we just said, we didn't come back in front of him. We didn't say, hey. It was too late.
Do you want a motion then to favorable for us to, that we would approve the?
If it ended up, I don't know that we need a motion to
do
include
that.
the part-time increase because we do that.
I don't think.
But if you want it to be a full-time position,
Oh, we're
yeah,
not, no, we're not full-time yet, but
okay. Yeah,
part-time.
Okay,
Yeah.
we could
Yeah, I'd rather
evaluate.
bump-
yeah, we don't need a motion
Yeah, I'd
for
rather
that.
bump the part-time.
Yeah.
I understand. We knew that was a possibility.
Yeah, and that makes sense. And then I did, we submitted the out-of-state travel, but we needed to fix it. I left off Judge Davis's food, and he wants to, he's down there. So I need new signatures on this.
I make a motion that we approve out-of-state travel for Les McCartney. I've got it right here.
This is
Oh, another one.
Judge Davis.
You got a different
Oh,
one?
Yes. So the judge can eat.
We will make a motion on those, so it's you, Carrie, and Judge, and who else?
They did a food for our case manager and first up, I go, I guess I
They're all
can't
going
eat.
to the same
I need to
place.
lose
same
weight that
time.
week.
You can all put them on the same motion then.
I make a motion that we approve out-of-state travel for Carrie Wall, Tara Griffith, Judge Davis, and Marcus Dennis to the All Rise Judicial Conference in Kissimmee, Florida, as presented.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. We permit the out-of-state travel requests for Judge DJ Davis, Carrie Wall, Tara Griffith, and Marcus Dennis as presented for the All Rise Judicial Conference in Kissimmee, Florida. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes.
All right. Thank you for your time, guys.
And get
They'll send us copies.
get a hamburger down there while you're at it too.
Thank you.
Place downtown Indianapolis or something.
Did you see how much it was?
Would you, before you start, would you care if we recess? Does anybody?
Because I think it'll give me a chance to.
Get
Just a-
set
let's-
up.
Just a quick recess,
I can see it.
Yeah.
2 minutes?
2 and 2.
For each one,
I don't know.
$1,000 a head. More. So why are all the people here?
So how's your comfort level so far in this beautiful chair? Is it okay? You feel
It's
like
okay, I mean,
refreshed?
but it's a lot more comfortable than the others.
Really?
Yeah.
That's super.
It's got a little more cushion.
I was thinking they were gonna complain about that.
Do it.
Yeah,
you gotta keep walking.
Yeah, we're not talking about
That's
tonight.
Letha Coon?
That's my guess.
But yeah, I mean,
Kinda look like it.
She's the president.
lean back, I mean,
Yeah, and she's on our agenda.
Keeley?
across the board. But it does keep you straight up. And that can probably be adjusted.
They're
probably,
just
but-
here to
But
watch.
just being able to lay
Their
back and just
presenters are
kind
over
of
there.
relax for a minute.
Behind
For
So they're just here
Talitha
to
Coon?
watch.
Yeah, they're here to.
Super.
I wanted them to come see.
Huh?
I wanted them to come see what goes
Okay,
in.
that's fine. Yeah, just jump right
For
up.
the-
Super.
Sir.
I was happy to hear that, because I was thinking, man, why are these people coming and complaining
You're all
about?
big complainers.
No, I think they just.
I thought, I go, we're not gonna talk about anything.
No, we just gotta get good.
Yeah, it makes it easier to pick and choose and just.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you how we rule.
Well, we've done a lot.
Every time we go
Talitha Coon. We're gonna have to keep it, because we've done a lot to them, and at least we're getting results.
Results. I
See,
think,
we haven't done
I mean, 40 is not bad.
nothing for Talitha Coon like we did.
we are.
they've kind of been grandfathered in.
Okay?
Well,
There's certain people
yeah, gotta take care
that
of
they
that.
don't want to give any money to.
State is paying all of their.
Handle they had over there.
Supposedly
If I wanted to
gotta get over that too. Those
I could too.
And
150 plus value. You know, it's kind of like a matching thing, right? And it's a pretty good match, so. Now, what you do question is in 5 seconds after that happens, they won't say every.
Oh, that would be yes, because I'm sure my breath stinks by now. Mary.
Get it too, get it too.
Thank you.
But
I'll take
he kicked my daughter off the drug court because
Half and mince down.
boyfriend,
Looks like there's
Okay.
they're no longer together, but
I feel like I saw these as
kicked her off drug court.
well, they used to be.
And so I mean,
Take it with a grain of salt.
That's Werther?
I feel like they were smaller.
you go, well, we can't have
These are
basically
really
people
good.
like you who have
Thank you.
a boyfriend that
No,
does
thank
that.
you.
And
He's starving.
Are you,
so-
are you suggesting something?
he got addicted.
I do,
Broke his
I do.
leg.
I love it.
Oh, yeah.
10 years
That's,
ago.
that's what starts it all, is
really?
getting on pain meds and
He
different
got
things.
addicted to pain meds, and he.
That's serious.
She can
10
smell
years,
from all the
and
way
he
down
couldn't break
there.
it, and finally it broke him. He's in jail.
That's his copy
It
again.
finally broke him. They were together 5 years.
I've got one in there.
I got mine too, so that's extra.
Yeah,
I mean, so I got a different aspect about what
Hey,
human
Mary,
beings
take
can
one.
actually do.
yeah.
You know, but
Well,
that's.
I guess I need to assume that they've handled that situation. Not fired today.
Yeah. We haven't heard anything negative.
Yeah, that's
They were
what I
saying,
mean.
well, this could happen, this
I
could
found
happen, this
candy
could
in my
happen. That's
bag.
all I heard was this could happen.
Woulda,
Well,
shoulda,
it
coulda
didn't.
is always.
That was 2 or 3 years ago. That's not
What do you got
happening
over
now.
there, Mary?
I should have got a bag of
You know what I mean?
chips.
Werther's mints and some fruit candy.
Werther sounds good.
Sorry, Kat.
No, but-
You were just asking if that was late.
Here, let me get it.
I'm a baby. I didn't even get to see your. Let me give you a couple.
Okay, thank you.
My email got fixed like 2 weeks ago. Like Kit loves me after all. What were you gonna say?
No,
Really?
I was sitting here going, surely these people are here to protest something that's not on the agenda. When you said it's Tuesday, I said, oh, super.
Yeah. Yep, so we've got a few board members, like Mitchell's on our board, Laura Baker, hospital chaplain, she's on our board.
No, but I'll take a couple.
And Jean Jackson.
I love hot tamales. You get them out of the machine?
No. And then the other ones, several of them live in.
No, I don't want
Are all these people here for two?
like that, 'cause I mean,
Sakes.
We've always supported Central County.
I've been in situations where I get yelled at and I just gotta sit there and look at them, but at the same time,
But we haven't
all they're
spent
doing is
diddles quite
Did have some shade.
and I don't see anything.
Our dinner open.
Maybe, you know what I mean? I don't see it.
and you know what, the only time I ever think about him is when somebody
We're just having dinner.
today, I was going back to
Hot tamales.
all of a sudden, the radio station.
If I was repeating myself, just say you're your
But,
I mean,
the
I'm glad we're
landing's
still.
gonna ask for some funding too.
They're getting that out of the thing. So the city can build a parking lot
Over the year.
that we,
People are mad about
that they want us.
Yeah, we appropriate it and then spend it on
No.
little things.
No, I think that got.
You know what was said about what we call
Forecast what we think we might get a little bit, but, and then we use it as we need it, and it's been a slush fund.
require a few things.
I think that's all that on. It's pretty ugly.
Yeah, the kitchen's on fire. You don't know.
I can only speak for myself, but I haven't heard a single person say that.
Gets this get there.
That's hard, no.
Like, let me show you guys.
I mean, we've got some that are really good. and
She's got the impression he's putting in, but I know. I was out here and they said, well, good luck with that.
That's a hard no for me.
I am glad that.
Tell me I didn't sleep at all last night. Peyton smashed his finger and
In the system.
at home, doing work for me. Spent the night in the ER.
I know, and that was a good thing, I think we can.
Got it.
Thank you.
Going through it pricey.
Jimmy took longer than 2 minutes.
He called me crying.
Took longer than 2
That's
minutes.
when I went out and sprayed and called him back.
Hit hard. Keep your mouth shut, you're talking too much down
Did
there.
you give us a handout or anything? Did you bring us a handout or anything?
I can hear him saying move along about it.
I don't know.
You emailed it to us for this meeting?
I read all the,
Okay.
I get tons, like right now I'm getting tons of
Yeah, you could
emails.
probably get it.
Those two.
Okay.
Everything going on.
All right, gavel it up.
You guys ready to get going
Yes.
again?
Yes.
So we'll call our meeting back to order. The next thing up on our agenda is a legislative update.
Hi there, everyone. Rhonda Cook here with Legis Group Public Affairs. Good to be with you tonight, and just here to give you a little bit of a legislative recap. So the legislature this year had to be done on April 29th, which is tonight, which we could have been sitting there watching bills go through the session, but they got done just a tad bit early. They finished Friday early in the morning on April 25th. The House concluded about 12:50 a.m. and the Senate at about 1:38 a.m. So we were there early in the morning hours as they were trying to finish. I know the bill that you want to hear about the most is Senate Enrolled Act 1, which is the property tax reform bill. So I've got several slides on that and then a few other bills, but I think that's the main focus tonight is to talk about that bill. So let's kick it off with that one. And I understand that we're going to do kind of a tag team here because Greg's got some numbers to fill in when I have a point that he has some real data for you. Okay. Senate Enrolled Act 1. It was signed by the governor on April 15th. It didn't go to conference committee, so there was no negotiating. At the very end, it was sent over to back to the House and back to the Senate, and everybody agreed, let's go for it. But I can tell you that there were some follow-up changes as that passed on the 15th, and we didn't get done until 10 days later on the 25th. There were things that they figured out needed to be fixed in those 10 days. So there were substantive changes that followed this bill in another bill, House Enrolled Act 1427. That's the DLGF bill. So it's going to make it hard when you're trying to focus on where the legislation is and what bill it passed, because some of the provisions are in 1427. That's going to make it complex. I've never seen it so many substantive changes and not just technical changes happen in a trailer bill like that. Okay, so property tax deductions. On the homestead deduction, currently that's at $48,000 or 60%, whichever is less. That's going to be phased down. So here I've got the numbers, $40,000 in 2026, all the way to 2030 where it will be eliminated. It phases up the supplemental homestead deduction, which is currently 35%, 40% in 2026, and then by 2031, 67.7%. So trying to give homeowners tax breaks here is the goal with the property tax deductions.
Do you know what they estimated the percentage would be that would
Impact
help the homeowner if you're going to reduce the homestead deduction, but and then raise the supplemental? What's that do to it?
So I can help
Typical.
you because in this packet,
Do you want to come over here?
okay, we gave a $500,000 home, a $250,000 home, and a $750,000, and you will see the reduction that comes through each and every year. So you'll see how the standard deduction phases out and the homestead supplemental
I don't know what
phases
page
in.
it is.
You didn't get one, Ken?
Well, she was gone.
And he took mine and then I took
No,
it back.
So those are
Ken.
the numbers on three various home sizes.
Yeah, I didn't know what page.
In Monroe County, I did the 500, and they said, can you give us a few more? And I
What
did.
page is it? Is it towards the back or
No,
towards
no,
the?
right,
Right there, number 2.
It's right in the front.
right here's
There we go. I got you.
and the next one and the next one.
Yeah, we just missed one between.
Back to you, Ray.
Okay, so for the 2% category, property tax deductions, it adds a new property tax deduction for all of those in that 2% property category. These are the ag land and the non-homestead residential properties like apartments. So here's the deductions here, 6% in 2026, 12% in 27, 19% in 2028, 25% in 2029, 30% in 2031, and 33% in 2032 and thereafter.
There's a slide on
Does that help
that,
your rentals?
that
Are you
I
at
put,
2%?
we put together. It's the example of 2%. It's basically on gross assessed value per $1 million.
Is it 30% also in 2030? It said 2031
I saw that
twice.
too, and I'm not sure, I could go back and, wait, I think that was supposed to be 2031, 30% in 2031. Okay, so now let's talk about business personal property taxes. So the idea is, I believe what I was hearing, is that we're trying to give homesteads a break, homeowners. Now we need to do something for businesses. And the way they calculated this was that by setting the thresholds the way they did, that they would hit, you would still be able to collect about 90% of property taxes because of the way they set the cap at $2 million. Have you heard that part?
Yes.
Okay. So it increases the de minimis business personal property tax exemption. That's currently $80,000. So in Senate Enrolled Act 1, it was supposed to be 1 million for 2025. They were going to phase it in. So when you read that, just remember that the trailer bill, 1427, changed that. So it's going to be as is for 2025. But for 2026, $2 million. So what they're saying is the bigger companies with lots of equipment, we're still going to be able to collect from. But the smaller independent businesses or small businesses are going to get probably a break because they don't have $2 million worth of BPPT or BPP. Okay? After January 1, 2025, new business personal property is exempt from the 30% floor. Because remember, there's that threshold, no matter what, you pay at least 30%. The exception to that, though, is because they needed to protect TIFs, is that if the business personal property tax is in a TIF allocation area, which had its base established before January 1, 2025, so these are not for new TIFs, this would only be for ones already up and going, then the 30% floor still applies to the new business personal property.
Oh, I thought,
Okay.
yeah, I didn't know it was that way.
My understanding of that, Greg, is that that is not, if it's pledged, that's if you're in a TIF area.
If it's pledged.
You think it is if it's pledged? I didn't read it that way because I went back to the actual bill, by the way. This is Senate Enrolled Act 1, and this is double-sided, so as you, it's 345 pages, something like that.
Yeah.
I can't find where it's pledged.
Okay.
So anyway, that's interesting. Okay, so Senate Enrolled Act 1 also included language which prohibited the removal of the 30% floor if the business personal property tax was pledged to outstanding bonds. However, that's what they changed in 1427. They removed that language. So that's where I was telling you about NICD, the Northern Indiana Commuter Rail District. That's a major concern because let's say you have GO bonds or edit bonds that are, let's say you have a GO. Really, that's when it would apply, that has business personal property tax pledged. It's not in a TIF area. Then the floor doesn't count. So I was speaking to David Bodorf today at the AIC. I think most of all you know him. And he's like, well, they're just starting to figure out some of the unintended consequences and how this affects especially the Northern Indiana Commuter Rail Transportation District and how the state has secured those bonds. So that could come back and maybe we're going to need to go back and address that. So that's what I'm hearing. Okay. Property tax credits. It adds a new property tax credit of $150 for all homeowners over the age of 65. That's a credit, not a deduction. It adds a new property tax credit of $125 for disabled homeowners. In Senate Enrolled Act 1, it also had a tax credit of $250 for disabled veterans, but they found out that disabled veterans were not going to get as good of a break with that scheme as they would if you just left it alone. So they went back in House Enrolled Act 1427 and took that part out. You can see how this is going to be very hard to track everything. Okay, it adds a new homestead property tax credit of 10% or $300. That's on all homesteads. So now one of the things you want to figure out, now you're going to have to take $300 basically off the bottom line of a tax bill. So what could you do now with your lit this year to compensate for that? And that's where you're going to have to advise them on that. Just some things I'm thinking through. Other property tax relief. It raises the ag base capitalization rate by 1 point, and it provides for a new property tax deferral program that can be voluntarily adopted by county councils. The thing I'll say about that, that would be very hard to administer. It's up to $10,000 only on homesteads. But the twist that they put in that came from the concern that the Bankers Association brought about was that the lien holders needed to have a say. So now there's a provision that says you have to get lien holder sign off, which that just complicates the whole thing.
I don't see how that is a help to anyone. If all it's going to do is whatever you didn't pay this year is going to fall onto the next year, and then it's twice as what it was before, and then by the third year, you're having to sell your house because you owe an astronomical amount of taxes because you deferred for a couple of years.
Not expected to be.
I don't see
who
that
would use
would be
that?
something we would do.
Not me.
Word deferral.
But it is a way that the General Assembly can put it back on you and say, oh, but locals have this tool at their disposal where they could give you a break.
Yeah, but
You know, that's all I'll say about that.
Yeah, it's not.
But it's not usable, yeah.
No, it's not useful at all.
It's a deferral, it's not a replacement.
So tax increment finance neutralization. It allows the DLGF to neutralize significant increment increases for TIFs resulting from large rate increases that stem from the AV cuts from Senate Enrolled Act 1. So they're allowed to come in and mitigate that based on everything that's going to be changing, all these numbers that are changing. It allows the DLGF to adjust TIF rates to guarantee bonds that could be impaired by AV cuts, mainly due to changes with business personal property. We were just talking about DLGF, and you know, there's a new commissioner over there, has only been on the job since January, and their attorney is there, and we're saying, please don't leave, Emily, because you're like one of the few people that understand all the system and has the institutional knowledge. So hopefully we'll keep a couple of those folks going over there that really know what's going on, because they're going to hold your world in their hand. Debt and excess levy appeals. It eliminates the excess levy 3-year growth appeal. Very, very bad for Hancock County. We're a growing community. We depend on that to go in and get an excess levy because we're growing at that fast rate. So it's bad for any county that's growing. So that really hinders us.
We've only got it once.
Well, we only applied. We applied twice, got turned down once. I kept telling you, you gotta keep going back. We went back and we got it once.
We got it once.
Now, remember, that was a 3-year, you had to grow by a certain level. And now the whole point is we're growing higher than the, remember, the average was fairly high in the house too. We had a higher growth quotient.
Yeah, so I think the growth quotient for 26 was calculated at 5.6.
Almost 6%.
Okay, well, now they're going to cap that at 4. No more growth. 4 is the top, which we've seen that happen last sessions too. They've stunted us on that.
And Jim, that means we have a lot of money.
So, and it also provides that all municipal
More
projects
than we had before.
with debt that is property tax backed are controlled projects if the total debt service rate for the unit exceeds, so 0.25% for the remonstrant process. Now this is for municipal projects, so this is not county, and 0.4 for the referendum process. Fire territories. I was talking to Mickey before about this provision, it'll make it really difficult for a new fire territory to get established because it caps the fire territory tax rate at 0.4% for new fire territories established after January 1, 2025. And you know, that was the whole reason to create a fire territory, was that you got to reset your levy over a course of 3 years. So now you're capped, so I just don't know how many that's even going to work with that limitation. It requires the county council to approve any additional lit revenue that would shift to the provider unit of a new fire territory. When we get into lit, I'll hit on that again.
What does that mean?
Hang on until we get to lit, and we'll
Requires
talk
the
about
county
that.
to approve any additional lit.
Because there's a
revenue.
special rate for EMS and fire. We'll get to that in 1 second.
Well, yeah.
But go ahead. Oh, if you have something to say about it.
So, got a 1.2 rate, up to, okay? And I've got the numbers that I'll go through slightly here for you. Then 0.40, or that can be approved to basically assist, and it's very back page here.
I'm going to go forward one so you can see this.
Yeah, basically assist fire protection in EMS services. Rhonda and I know everybody asked and said, wait a minute, is that public safety? No. Fire and EMS services. That would be basically territory. It would be townships providing fire, or it would be something like that, an EMS service also. Okay.
Or if you had a county fire district.
And the county council has to approve it.
Right, so let's just hit on lit. I skipped forward and I'll go back to the other two. So with the lit, rates must be adopted annually. The concern with this is that when you issue debt that's subject, that you're paying lit, payable by lit, if the council can change that every year, it doesn't give the bondholders any reliance that that's a stream of money that's going to pay their bonds.
That's hilarious.
So that's a real concern, and we were talking about the rating agencies getting wind of this and how that could affect our credit rating and what's going on in Indiana. So the countywide expenditure rate cap is 2.9%. So starting in 27, you could adopt that rate like October 1st, 2027 for 28. And then here's the different mix now. And what's going to be hard to understand, or if everybody get their head around, there's no public safety lit anymore. It's in with your expenditure rate. So 1.2% of the rate's reserved for county services, 0.4% of the rate is reserved for fire protection and EMS, what you're just talking about. 0.2% of the rate is reserved for non-municipal taxing units. That'd be townships, libraries, and other civil taxing units that get property tax money right now, but not counties, cities, towns, or schools. 1.2% of the rate is reserved for general revenue for municipalities with populations under 3,500. That's because now cities and towns with populations over 3,500 are going to get to adopt their own lit rate from their own taxpayers, and county council will be in charge of handling the lit for those smaller communities that are under 3,500. So if you're a county that's, or a city or town under 3,500, you can come in and ask and petition the council here for them to have a hearing for you to consider that. So that's the 1.2% that you guys will decide on.
So, like
Do we
Spring
have any?
Lake? Like Spring Lake?
I guess.
Do we have any towns?
Spring Lake?
Spring Lake's probably
Shirley,
under 30.
They're a
Wilkins.
yeah.
really under 3,500.
Only have half of it.
They have to
The other
be,
half's in Henry.
Not, yeah,
They have to. Oh, they've been incorporated.
incorporated.
I don't think
Yeah.
Shirley's incorporated.
So an unincorporated area does not get any of that tax of any.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, it has to be incorporated.
I think
Because
they
I live
are
on
incorporated because they have a tax rate.
The county.
So the other thing is going away, so we have to remember that public safety lit's going away, but you still get more in your expenditure rate, so you can fund public safety out of those dollars. But we don't have a property tax freeze, do we, here? A property tax relief levy? I don't think we do. So,
Property tax relief of 8.2 million.
oh, okay. So eliminates the current property tax relief and levy freeze rate, which currently uses LIT to fund property tax deductions for residential property in both the 1% and 2% category, and replaces it with a maximum of 0.3% for property tax relief. So back when they did tax caps, the idea was lessen the burden of property taxes. You could use LIT money to replace what you would have generated in property tax money and keep your property tax rate lower. And you're saying we do have a rate for that? Okay.
Oh, I do.
Okay. Yeah. So I know that, again, now as we're trying to talk about what goes on in, like in Morgan County, they have do you do work in Morgan County? No. Okay. They have a pretty hefty property tax relief rate. So now there's no such thing as that anymore. If you pull that off, all those taxpayer bills are going to go way up. I mean, just because of that, because there's no way to compensate it with the LIT as they have this drawn out here. Okay, I'm going to go back to the one other slide. Budget procedures and transparency. It requires that public notice for the budget hearing must include the proposed increase in the tax rates and tax levies in proposed budgets. So need to get whoever sends out your meeting notices, hey, this has got to be, let your attorney look at it because it's got to be worded a specific way. Also requires an additional public hearing prior to the budget adoption, wherein the only item on the agenda must be the amount the tax rate and tax levy are increasing from the prior year. So naturally, you're probably going to have a tax increase on your property taxes from one year, at least your 4%. You have to do a special hearing just for that.
I was told that's for 27.
Yes.
Not
Okay.
26.
Right. Okay. I think you're right on that. I agree with that. Directs the DLGF to maintain a property tax transparency portal through which you can compare your property tax liability versus the proposed property tax liability, and it provide feedback on the proposed rates. And then for referendums, those have to happen in even-numbered years in line with the general election, and changes the referendum language to specify that both the proposed rate and the proposed amount of money to be raised for the specific purpose, so that needs to be worded a specific way. And then also that a school cannot place a controlled project referendum on the ballot in a year that a current referendum is expiring. So you can't roll one on, roll one off if you're the school. Okay, that is the end of my slides for Senate Enrolled Act 1, so I'll just stop and see what questions.
Now, Auditor Carnes, do we have to go back to start of 2025 and calculate this, or is it start in 2026?
On the LIT?
Yeah, on all of it.
On all of it? So some of the things will go into effect July 1st, and then other things, they're phasing in, you know, like we talked about over time. And then for the LIT, you can start taking action on that in 2027 because you're getting ready for January 1 of 28. So you have to adopt a LIT by October 1 of 27 in order for it to be ready to go for January 1, 28.
Going forward, she didn't have to go all the way back to January and calculate.
But as Greg's going to, give you information about all these changes and things that are going to come on, like the homeowner's credit, you may need to adjust your LIT this year so that you can compensate for some of those things that you're going to have to pay for to supply those credits. So that's all in. Greg, have fun with that.
Other ones, we're going to have to increase our LIT this year.
So on the back sheet, on this one sheet here, that I put the estimated lit impact. So yes, Rhonda's right, all the lits are going away 27. In 27, we're going to create a new lit of up to 1.2. As you can see here, I've done some calculations, and at this point, it would take about a 0.64, not including the 8.5 million, which we found out recently of credit, but that would replace the Cadget, the public safety lit, the jail lit, the PSAP, and the others. The county and county owned. Okay. Remember when I've been asking about any type of abatement, my number one question is how many employees are you going to have and how many employees are going to live here? So important, right? Because this is going to apply to them. Okay? And the only, I met with a few legislators on Monday, and the quote of the day was, "The well is dry." Yes, the property tax well is dry, pretty much. Do a GO bond. The lit rate, as I told you, there was going to be a cap sometime. It was a matter of time. There is a cap now. And basically, we have to live within the 1.2.
Greg, didn't that have to include the county library lit too? You didn't mention that.
I don't think so, and there's some specificity that needs to take place there because there are some lits, I'm playing lawyer now, that are Title VII, not Title VI. They believe that what was eliminated was Title VI, not Title VII, according to the attorneys that have been telling me. And so that may be an
PSAP?
no, gone.
Don't we have the only income tax funded libraries in the state?
Bingo.
So if something ends up playing out where we weren't considered because we're an outlier, then you go ask for special legislation.
Yes.
Wasn't there something on one of your slides that said 0.2% for library?
It did say.
Yeah.
It did mention
For
library.
non-municipal.
Non-municipal.
Taxing units.
Which
And
I don't know what the rate
There
is.
was some language in there about after that time that lit has to be redone every year. Did they take that out?
No,
No.
you have to do it every year.
So
It's just a lot of
that's
paper.
where I believe if I'm an analyst in Chicago, I'm gonna read that and I'm gonna automatically put all your lots on watch list.
Due to the county.
I need that watch list so that we can go back to certain legislators and say, we kind of told you this would happen. Okay, so, they're gonna take Hendricks or Hancock, one of the big jail lits, and they're gonna say, wait a minute, you guarantee to the bondholders you would levy enough. Now, the legislators are saying you're gonna be mandated to raise the rate to pay that debt, no matter what, each and every year, okay? Or we're going to raise it for you. That's what I was told. And so it's kind of the state intercept language that occurs on schools and things like that. So, but I guess the whole point here, and I guess the guidance that maybe would give you both, is that, we've got a little time, okay? They have said if you found some problems, they'll listen. Now, whether they act, that's one thing, but they'll listen. So as we develop statewide some concerns or issues, like we get a letter from Standard & Poor's saying, we're on a watch list, okay? We're gonna obviously email that about 10.5 seconds after we get it. Okay, here it comes, okay? And so there's some time to react, and again, some of these credits and all that is phasing in. And by the way, I was told that those credits, that not the deduction, but the credits you have to apply for at the auditor's office.
Yeah.
Or at,
So the auditors have lots of questions of how that's really going to work every day.
So.
Yeah.
Could I ask you about the health funds? You've got to start on
Yeah,
that.
we're getting, that's in the budget, Bill, so, but one more thing on just our overall numbers in the state fiscal on Senate Enrolled Act 1 for Hancock County, $4.6 million, this is countywide, not just county government, but countywide all taxing units. $4.6 million hit 2026, $3.6 million in 2027, and $6.3 million in 2028.
that's countywide, all taxing districts. So, okay.
So I was giving you these. I'll be back next week. Look them over. If you got more questions or want to see other information, obviously we'll have.
I had invited Rhonda to come out and give us time to digest what we're hearing tonight and let a few things settle that you said still had some possibility of change, to come to our regular county council meeting and give her a time slot that's nothing but lit. And we can maybe get a little bit better understanding once we've had time to think about it. Greg, I don't know if you wanted to come or if Rhonda.
Well, I'll be at the May 8th meeting, and I can update you on, could we do it both at the May 8th meeting?
That's depending on
Yeah,
your
I
schedule.
think I'm available. Yeah.
That's fine.
Timeline for lit is in the summer of 27. We're going to approve a lit.
Okay, so let's just plan on it then being the budget meeting, not the council meeting. And,
May 8th at 8:30 or whatever's on the.
yeah, we'll look at the agenda.
I do think it's important that Greg is there because I can tell you what passed in law and he can tell you how it
hits us.
Numbers in the county, so.
What, Wednesday's May 7th.
Okay, I'm sorry.
That's all right.
It was at the 7th. Okay.
It's a week from tomorrow. Mm-hmm.
So we'll plan on that if you.
Don't come to
accumulate
8.
some liquor.
You were close. Don't come to 8.
Have to be somewhere at May 8th.
Okay.
Okay. I just have a few more bills to hit on, and these will be kind of quick, but I do want to talk about the state budget, which was the whole reason why, the main bill they had to pass this session in the biennial budget. But on April 16th, the state budget forecast came back, very gloomy forecast of $2.4 billion revenue shortfall to the state of Indiana. And when you ask what it was the cause of this, the main thing I heard was the cause is just the uncertainty in the market with the new tariffs at the national level, which, because Indiana's a manufacturing state, we're always hit first. I think Representative Porter said when everybody else has Indiana gets we're very sickly when it comes to getting hit with, it's not just an average cold, we get pneumonia, when something happens because we're manufacturers. And we have such dependency on those parts and the trade. And so it's hitting us really hard, and $2.4 billion was the projected loss. So as you can imagine, the last 10 days or so of session, they were slashing things in the budget. So almost all spending cuts throughout every line item took a 5% hit, if not more. And most all capital projects were eliminated. They added a $2 per pack tax on cigarettes. And then for counties, I think the most notable cuts are the public health dollars. Jim, last year, the last biennial budget, that was funded at $75 million and then $150 million. And now it's going down for the next biennium to $40 million. So that's quite a hit. And then they zeroed out READY program. I know we've gotten READY money before. Last biennium, that was funded at $150 million each year of the biennium. So lots of changes. We're probably going to see potential layoffs and.
Probably to jump on the budget bill too. The county council knows we've asked Brad for level 6 revenue. The other sheriffs have been telling me that it may be 1/2 to 1/4 of what it used to be.
You mean cut 1/4 to
Yeah.
one?
Cut by 3/4.
3/4,
It may come out 1/4 or 1/2
Okay.
of what we normally get. That was the latest numbers I got out of Shelby County and other counties.
So if the tariffs change, then what? Yeah, you're blaming it on the tariffs. So if none of that happens, then what are they going to do with the extra money?
Well, so then the markets, I guess, will stabilize and our, forecast will look
But
better the next
It's another
quarter.
year before they would change it back.
2-year budget.
Well, we couldn't change
budget?
anything, probably, yeah,
They
probably 2
basically
years.
just said it doesn't matter what then happens with the tariffs. They're taking the worst case scenario And if none of that happens, then
I mean, they could call a special session.
they're gonna look
There's those-
stupid.
We can yell at them for having too much money in the bank like they've been
I
yelling
know.
at us this year.
In other words, they're gonna look stupid.
What they had talked about was they got that last forecast. I think they literally said 5 or 6 days before. And wow, and it was 2.5 less billion, I believe. And so, what a reaction.
It wasn't fun for a lot of people that got the bad news that their programs were cut. So, road funding. Community Crossings Matching Grant Program pretty much stays the same with $100 million set aside for those traditional grants that we're used to. No wheel tax is required to access that money because that was talked about in one or more of the versions of the bill. They've made it a little easier for smaller communities to make their match. $20 million is set aside for the TRACS program. That's the program that deals with at-grade railroad crossings, dangerous crossings. $50 million for the city of Indianapolis, which they have to match that money. And I'll tell you this, one thing I didn't know is back when Unigov started, the highways that US 40, US 31, those highways that normally are NDOT's responsibilities, when they made Unigov, Marion County took over all of that. So they haven't had that state support on those roads. If it was any other county, the state would be taking care of those roads. So that was a little history lesson that I didn't know about. NDOT has the authority to pursue toll roads, and it also dictates the use of MVH funds based on PASER ratings. Clarifies whose responsibility it is to maintain certain size bridges. So I guess if there's a bridge is 20 feet or long or less, it kind of clarifies is that city or town or county's job to maintain that. 1198, this was Ethan Lawson bill, raises the amount of a public work project that a board may perform using its own workforce without awarding a contract. So that's good for us that we can use our own workers instead of having to contract out. It raises that from $250,000 to $375,000, but then it puts this inflation measure that's tied to CPI, so that will keep adjusting. Last time I was here, Town of Cumberland was here to present, and we got behind that bill. I testified in both the House and Senate on their behalf, on behalf of you, and they had great success with this bill. So as of January 1st, 2027, the portion of Town of Cumberland that's in Marion County will now be considered an excluded town, just like Southport, Lawrence, Speedway, no longer part of the Indianapolis Marion County Consolidated City. This will allow the Town of Cumberland to do code enforcement on the Marion County side, like they do already on the Hancock County side. They already have their own planning and zoning, and so they'll extend that to their entire town. Fire protection will remain the same on the Marion County side, and the DLGF will make necessary adjustments to their rates and levies. House Enrolled Act 1197 was another Ethan Lawson bill, establishes a method for initiation of an action to remove a county executive from office, similar to what can already be done for other office holders. I know we had some Hancock County residents that testified on that bill, at least on the Senate side. Senate Enrolled Act 425, this is one I've already talked to Kayla about. It started out as a green energy bill on energy production zones. So what they want to do is they say if you have an old coal generating plant, they want to be able to replace that with a new type of electric generating plant, such as nuclear, and not have it subject to local planning and zoning. I don't really think that's a great idea because I think the people should have a say in what's going in around them. However, this bill also includes language that affects planning and zoning in regard to development agreements. This was language that the Builders Association sought, and also for advisory plan commissions. Our plan commission is an area plan commission, but I can expect that over the interim, they'll be making more changes to planning and zoning. And so there's some changes there, and I think there's going to be some unintended consequences. I think this is my last bill to talk about, close to second to last. 1509, appointed officials, just so you know this, on the notice and agenda, let's say it's the RDC, they're appointed members. So on their notice and on their agenda and on the website, it now must say who appointed them. So tell your administrative people, the agendas have to look a little different in the meeting notices, just like the one I talked about before. Okay, and finally, House Enrolled Act 1134 and 1641, they both have language in it that extends the reasons why you can have an executive session. I've listed those reasons there. One more thing I'll say is that Vernon Township Public Library, Mary knows this because I've talked to her about it quite a bit, and to Jim, they had a request to represent Jeter this year that would allow them to have some funds to build out a satellite library that's in McCord Square, because Nine Star was going to be giving them some space that they were going to give them. So the way our library special language works is it's basically calculated like it's a property tax, and then they take the lit money and replace it with whatever would have been given as the property tax. So Vernon Township Public Library is very limited because I think their budget from property taxes is around $400,000, and they were going to need like double that to run this satellite library. All I can say is that they still have the desire to do that. In talking to McCordsville and their town council president and their planner, they want a full library there. There's just more to be talked about on that issue, and maybe we can figure out something we could do next session that would be something we'd all could, get behind, but they didn't get it achieved this session, so.
Well, what about the problem we had with McCordsville wanting to
Yeah.
annex, yeah.
They wanted to make a change to the government modernization law.
Right.
And they didn't try to put it anywhere. So I watched for that all the time. I was watching for that language to go somewhere. It didn't happen.
We want to make a change to it also. We want something to read that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So what?
We do. And so I guess my fear was whenever you open up that statute and you start working in that one code site, that means that other people can amend in.
Okay.
So probably wasn't the time to do it this session, but I think you're right, Ken. I think we need to keep talking about that.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, Rhonda.
Thank you.
Thank you.
A lot of work. Gosh. Yeah, a lot of confusion.
Lance Schnedeker with Veritas Group on a Amplify update.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I think it's trying here. Can you all see that screen? Appreciate you guys all giving me a few minutes of your time here tonight. It has been, it's been a great project so far. I'm speaking of Amplify. I know that this is a project that the entire community seems to be really behind and excited about. And we started construction, believe it or not, back in October. So this is my first time before you all to kind of provide an update. And so, again, I appreciate your time. I'll try to make this quick and keep it high level. We're going to kind of start with the site work, and then we're going to move into the building, and then we'll show you some images, which I find pretty exciting. Hopefully you guys do as well. Okay. When it comes to the site work, we do have all the mass grading is finished. That means that the building pads are established. The staging areas, which really are parking lot areas, are stoned. So the site, in general, most of the earth has been moved. We have the storm pipe, the storm sewage pipe and structures all in place. They are complete to the pond. The water line is all installed all the way around. That means fire hydrants, post indicator valves, and so on and so forth. That line is not pressurized yet. Nine Star still has a little bit of work to do before that can happen, but that is installed, which is awesome. Gary mentioned before at the beginning of the meeting that we were working on a drainage solution. We're continuing to work on that right now. I don't really have a good update other than to say that I think we're nearing completion and feeling a little, pretty good about the solution. We do have also a temporary drainage solution in place, which is working great. I don't know if you guys recognized that April was super wet month, atypically wet. I guess it set some records. And our temporary dewatering solution kept up with all the rain, so is great. We have some underground electrical complete. There is still a long way to go on electrical underground light poles and so on and so forth, but we do have some of the bigger conduit from where Duke is going to set the transformer, and that's going to feed the building. That's all complete. Gas line is not installed yet. CenterPoint is supposed to do that in June. And then the sanitary lateral, so the sanitary sewer pipe coming out of the building, servicing that building, is all installed out to almost to 200 out to the road. That it's terminated currently to the point where we have this deep sanitary main that's going to go north-south, and it's a very deep installation. So there's a lot of digging and dewatering. It's kind of a complicated, big excavation. So that still is to come and may start as soon as this week. Any questions so far? No. Starting to get into more exciting stuff here. The building, I don't know if any of you guys have driven by the site here lately. I see Commissioner McDaniel nodding his head, yes. So, you go from this flat site to overnight, all of a sudden, stuff's in the air, and that's when it starts getting really exciting. So this little image here is actually the elevator shaft. It's the elevator pit here. All our building perimeter footings are all done, finished, and the foundation masonry is being installed on top of those footings right now. So that's all great. What you see standing up in the air right now is the precast concrete panels. Those are all installed and welded. That's done. And we are now seeing steel bar joists and steel, basically the roof structure going in, beginning to go in. And I'll show you a photo of that. Under slab plumbing is underway, meaning the area within the captured space, within the building. We've got plumbing going in. Electrical is getting ready to commence as well. And that is in advance of the concrete slab starting to be poured as soon as next week. Any questions on that?
I think Jim wanted to put his hands in the concrete.
Okay, who's that? Who
Jim.
wants to? We can allow that.
What's that?
I think we should make it this.
We'll absolutely find a spot. We can make that happen.
Jim dozed off.
I know.
A foot. Really, the budget, we are on budget. We're billed to 20%. The project is built to about 25 to 30% right now, and we're at the end of the month, so we should see a new invoice coming out here in the next couple days. But we are on budget. That's the good news there. We are also on schedule. That's the other good news. I mentioned that we started in October. Occupancy is and has been scheduled for mid-June of next year. And then the beginning of August is when classes should start. So we're in good shape there. You guys can see this image. This was taken, I believe this was April 1st is when I took this shot. This was the first day when we started going vertical and those panels started being stood up. And the next photo was taken yesterday. You can see that all of that precast shell is now in place. These are the lab spaces of the building. So what you're looking at is the lab space. To the south, I'm going to say to the kind of to the right of the vertical structure, you'll see a foundation line. That's all going to be the classroom space and administrative spaces, okay? And that line that you're seeing is the foundation. This is inside the automotive lab. So this is going to be the automotive lab with the programming for Hancock County schools, the 9-12 programming. So I thought it was pretty exciting to show you guys that you got 4 walls there. This is the Ivy Tech lab space, and you're seeing the steel bar joists that I mentioned were going in. Pretty exciting to see. We're almost under roof there. This image just kind of shows some of the foundations up close on the outside and everything that's going on there. You see the bolt pattern there right in the corner closest to us. That bolt pattern is where a steel column will go and be anchored there to support the structure. And this is my last image, taken from the southeast. Again, just shows the foundations, it shows the lab space, and you can see that that area nearest us has the steel structure in place. So with that, anybody have any questions?
Yeah, I just drove by that on Friday, and I was really surprised it was that far along. I was very pleased.
Good to hear, good to hear, yeah. The project is really, really going very well, so.
Well, I'm impressed. We had record moisture in the last 30 days and you're still on schedule. So,
There are some bad weather days built into the schedule from the get-go, and we have pretty much exhausted those because it was a rough winter. But we are still on schedule.
Super.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sure, thank you guys for your
You
time.
did a great job.
Thanks, Lance.
Thank
Keep
you.
up the good work.
Thanks, appreciate it.
Linda Ostwig and Sandy Miller with Talitha Coombe in the landing.
I don't think so, no. But, yeah.
We need to be plugged in.
You guys are wore out. So thank you for. Commissioners still have a whole meeting's worth of business after this.
Really? I think we need to move our crew up.
Yeah, we want to do some deep.
Yeah.
Before they do this.
Yes, yes, yes,
Check anything off the list.
yes. That's why I
Make a
like-
motion.
Talking about dinner 3 hours ago.
I'll make a motion to approve claims and payroll.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. We approve claims and payroll as presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Not good.
Auditor's business. You got one item.
How about we
Why they jump ahead and
get the minutes first?
Okay.
Forgot to-
Make a motion to approve the minutes from our last, which one?
15.
450, oh, here.
I don't know.
4/15/25.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. We approve the commission meeting minutes from 4/15/2025 as presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes.
Go for it,
They're
James.
just doing some stuff while they're waiting on them to get plugged in.
Yeah, we only have two things. Let's jump in here.
They have the print copy. If you can't make a computer
It was the
work.
letter that we were gonna,
Yeah.
that we were gonna sign.
Yes. Did you bring it, did Sarah bring it down?
She did have it.
Yes.
The
You go ahead, they got the
There
paperwork.
we go.
That way
Yep,
it's not
that's
on
it.
your laptop. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we can go ahead.
Support letter.
Okay.
Fine.
We don't.
Are you guys? in the
Make a
middle of
motion that we approve.
Are you guys ready?
Yeah.
We're going to start without our computer.
Okay.
You guys finish.
All right, we'll hold, no, we'll hold. If you
we're good.
If you ladies are gonna start, we were just taking advantage of some downtime.
Yeah. Yeah. They're getting the computer hooked up, but everybody has the paper copy, right?
Yep.
Yes.
We were just gonna put that on there where you could see, but obviously, Director Talitha and
I'm Sandy Miller. I'm a member of the Board of Directors of the Talitha Coombe Recovery House. And even though I'm a relatively new board member since January 1 of 23, I've been a donor since the very beginning of the organization and really believe in the work that it does. So today, we are going to talk about where Talitha Coombe has been, where Talitha Coombe is, and where we think it needs to go. And specifically, we're going to talk about transitional housing. But first, Linda's going to tell you a little bit about the work that we do.
as you guys know, and I've been before you before, TK is still doing what we're doing over there. This year, we went ahead and applied for DMHA recertification for recovery residents as a level 3. In the very beginning, we started as a 3, we went to a 2, and we went back up to a 3 this year. So we revamped some of the policies and procedures, and we also added policies and procedures. So then we got onto the DMHA portal. We submitted all of our new policies and procedures, and our old DMHA came out, did a site visit, met with staff, met with the house, seen what we did, and they certified us as a level 3. So now we're able, continuing to still do the recovery works funding that we get through the state for the ladies that come in from the jail.
What's the difference between level 2 and 3?
level 3 is that we do more oversight. So we still did a level 3 when we were 2. I started on the NAR board, National Recovery Residence, when we started Indiana's. And a level 2, I would go to these meetings, and a level 2 was it's peer led, but it wasn't, you didn't have to have overnight staff. And so I was paying lots of money for somebody to sleep there. When they came out this year, they were like, Linda, even as a level 3, you don't need to do that. You have senior residents in your home. You live, 15 minutes from the home. So we just went ahead and did another level 3 because that's what we do, and we're more programmatic than a level 2. So we have a lot of in-house programs, but we still contract out with a lot of mental health. We do all of our mental health outside. We work with New Day Counseling, and now we just partnered with Indy Professional Counseling, 56th Street, where all of our girls now are able to get intensive EMDR sessions. And a grant pays for that, which is, honestly, it's phenomenal to be able to offer that to them. It literally rewires their brain from PTSD. So that's grown for Talitha of what we're doing, and we continue to grow, and graduated 3 this year, and I've interviewed all day today and have 4 interviews tomorrow. We did accept a new person from the Hancock County Jail just today. And so.
Okay, so I'm going to talk just a little bit about the history, and I think many of you know some of it because the county was one of the early funders of Talitha Coombe. But in 2016, planning and fundraising began. In 2018, certification was achieved and the house opened. And in 2022, there was a lot of conversation about separating Talitha Coombe, which is a separate and always has been a 501c3 organization, from the Friends of Recovery. That actually happened effective on January 1, 23, when Talitha Coombe's new board came into being and started overseeing the governance of the Talitha Coombe House. So today we have a board of directors that is dedicated to making sure that Talitha Coombe remains a viable organization in our community to meet a need that we know is there. So in our first 2 years as a board, we have developed some very good fundraisers. Maybe you've been to our bingo or our cake auction. I hope you'll put them on your calendar for this year. We have written a lot of proposals for grants to help fund our organization. We have a lot of community partnerships with churches, with service organizations, with businesses, and obviously with local government. And we continue to work on a strategic plan for the future, which is one of the reasons that we're here tonight. Our board has legal, financial, operational, communication, marketing, and other expertise. So we think we have a well-rounded group to take Talitha Coombe into the next years. On the next slide, you'll see about funding. Funding is a real challenge for every nonprofit organization. And we get some funding from our Recovery Works and our resident income, but you can see on your slide our income goals for 2025. They total $259,000, and our expenses will be roughly the same. I'm really happy to report that we got some breathing room a couple of weeks ago when 9 Star, Hancock Health, and GBC Bank went together and gave us a grant of $7,500. And then, this is the best part, GBC Bank went to the Federal Home Loan Community Matching Program, and they matched that gift times 10. So we received a payment of $82,500, and that really helps for our funding for this year. On your next slide, you'll see what some of our challenges are. We're a small facility in a community with a big need. We have 9 beds. We have a 6-month residential program that's quite intense. But many of our residents stay long after that, for 12 or 18 months or even longer. And the main reason that happens is because they can't find safe and affordable housing in our community. And so we know, our board knows, that we need a phase 2 for Talitha-Coombe, and that is some transitional housing. The next slide just has a bar graph that shows you those availability, cost, background, and geography challenges. And Linda's going to provide some examples and some stories of real life.
Yeah, and I think I've shared this with most of you as well, is when our girls are ready to transition out, we can't do the next step because of the pricing for apartments. And a lot of them have to find, go in Cumberland or on the east side, or they go to Henry County, way out that way. But they're working here in Hancock County. They've already rebuilt their life here. They've already reestablished their family, and they're trying to do that. And it's just really difficult for them to, even if they are ready, they just go ahead and stay until they can then find something that's affordable for them. And just as a live testimony on that, this is Brittany, who's trying to do the computer. So you want to share with them about what that looks like for you?
Give me a hard time. Hello, my name is Brittany, and I am a senior resident at Talitha-Coombe. Just to tell you a little bit about me, I am an alcoholic in recovery. I have been at the TK house for 23 months. I will have 2 years sober on May 3rd. So I'm very proud to have been at TK this entire time to support my journey. A little bit about myself before coming to TK. My family stays in Cumberland. I have an estranged husband now, but 2 girls with him. And I worked previously for the courts in Marion County. I have a master's degree, and I thought I had everything on the up and with my life. But COVID disrupted everything about me, and I needed some help, and so I sought it. I'm thankful that I was able to get the help I needed at TK. But now that I've been through the programming and I'm working at the landing even, I'm looking to transition out, but having so much trouble doing so. I'm not able to go back into my family home. It's probably for the best that I move into my own space because the relationship has run its course, and that's okay because my healing journey has taught me that. But at this point, I'm having so much trouble finding somewhere to go in Greenfield. One place that I was looking to go, an apartment here that said they were income restricted, wanted $1,300 for a 2-bedroom. 2 of the others that were low income or income-based housing, let me correct myself, they both, I called for months and months. You have to call every month, and they may or may not be able to accommodate you. And every single time, they had nothing. And then once they said, come in, and I went in, and they said, well, you need a cosigner. I need a cosigner for income-based housing. I didn't need one for a $1,300 apartment, though. And then another place that I was trying to get in a house that I was looking to rent, they went with another applicant. So it's difficult for me at this time because the time that I spend with my daughters, I have to go back to my ex's house and then I have to sleep on the couch with them. Or I have to beg, borrow, and steal time just to have time alone with them or go spend money that I'm trying to save to find a place to go. So it's just frustrating that at this point in my sobriety, I'm not able to find somewhere to call home. So.
Because of transportation, you don't have a car? Is that the reason?
No, I have a car. I've gotten a car through this process. I just don't have a place of my own to give them a space.
They have Section 8 housing in Fortville, and I think Section 515 housing in Fortville. And there's
There's huge
always
wait-
signs out there
Yeah,
that
there's
for
huge
rent.
wait lists. She does have a car, but like she said, she's working here in the county. I guess she could drive to Fortville. It's just the affordable housing right here for us for this phase 2 to transition the girls. They still have the wraparound services. They still get to do the meetings. They still are very connected to the house, the recovery coaching and the case.
My community support is here. I do look in Hancock County in the area. I look all around. I even look still even on the east side of Indy because that's where my girls are. They're in Cumberland. So it's not that I'm not willing to travel because I can commute. But my sober community is here. The guys here, they're my family. So it's not that I'm not willing to commute. I am, but I have to keep in mind where I'm working, what's close to where my girls will be with their father part of the time, and where I have support.
Thank you, Brittany.
Congratulations on your sobriety.
Yes. So we've determined that a solution to this problem would be to have some apartment transitional housing for these women to live in for up to 2 years after they leave the intense program at the Talitha Coombe House. We would expect them to pay below market rental rates, and we would expect that they would, as Linda said, continue to take advantage of all of the programming that's available to them at the Talitha Coombe House. On the slide called Actions Taken, you will see that we have looked at a number of listings in Greenfield and Hancock County and analyzed whether those would be appropriate for our needs. We've written both with internal grant writers and professional grant writers some grants for funds that would help fund our transitional housing. We've done well in those, except we haven't won any yet. They tell us that our grants are very good, but they only have 2 awards to give, and we are not one of them. So we have not achieved the funding that we're looking for yet. So the next slide lays out our request. While we think our community and the local need could support 12 to 15 apartment units, we know the funding is just not there for that. So we think that we could make really great progress with 6 apartment units that Talitha Coombe would acquire and restore and then use as transitional housing for the women at Talitha Coombe. Our research shows that the acquisition and restoration or rehab of each apartment will run about $100,000. And so our request is for $600,000 of the opioid settlement money that is available. Also, another added feature of this is that we would expect that our costs to operate those transitional houses would be less than the income, and we would actually have an ongoing recurrent set of income from the residential housing. So with that, let us take your questions.
Have you already identified a property?
We have not identified a property as yet. We've looked at several. There are possibilities, but nothing has been pinned down. We need the funding to pin that down.
Talked to several.
Now, your rehab cost, you said approximately $100,000. Is that after?
Acquire and to restore, and that's a number that we got from the federal grant process. In their process, they use $100,000 per apartment for acquisition and restoration. We've got it.
But we don't really know how realistic that is
Yeah.
and what is available here.
It doesn't match up with a specific property. You are absolutely right.
So in essence, you're asking for all of the opioid money?
I don't know.
All of it?
We don't know.
No.
There's
over 800,000.
Yeah, we should have a sheet that tells
I've got it, but
it's on the bond
600,000 of
sheet.
the restricted.
Sandy,
627,000 of the restricted.
would this house, how would it be managed? Would it be Talitha Coombe?
The Talitha Coombe team would manage this property. If it became too much, then we would have to consider some additional staff, but we don't anticipate that at the get-go. Anybody else? Thank you so very much for your time and for your consideration. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And thanks to your support back in the corner there. We saw those.
Thanks for coming in.
They all came in, they were like, we're coming. Yeah, there they are. There they are. And honestly, we have Megan, she's almost ready to leave. She's in school, she goes to school during the day, and then she works in the afternoon at Starbucks. And honestly, she just can't move out yet. That money is just not available for her. And, but we're working on it. We're working on that. So what I'm gonna do is take off the other hat of Talitha and put on the other hat of the landing. And if you guys don't mind, I'll be really quick on that. And I'm gonna invite my vice president from the landing board, Tammy White. I do have some landing board here, Lisa Allen, Miles Herkamp, and Bob Krieger. We did have TK boards as well, but the landing's been going since 2012, and I know you guys know a little bit about this, but I just wanted to come before you about the opiate money because of what we do over there, and you know that we're losing our building. And I don't know if you know that, but we are. And so we started in 2012 right down the street at the Tour of Italy. We started the landing in 2014 with 9 students, and we only did youth. And we did the upstairs, we opened up a coffee house downstairs, and quickly we were having 40 students. So we took over the coffee house downstairs, and we began to just run the whole landing in the building until we were running like 50, 60 students in the building. And we were like, we've got to get a new building. We always serve them dinner. We're a program where we teach recovery principles to youth, 13 to 19 years old, and I do one-on-one mentoring and recovery coaching to young people. And so once we seen we needed a new building, we looked and we went across the street and we found 18 West South Street. And Doug Fleming at the time owned the building of 18 West, and we, the board and I decided it was a good fit for us. It was large, and it was able to sublease inside that building to help us with income. So we had a commercial kitchen in there, and we rented that out to on-site catering, who also served our kids food and also did our luau dinner. We partnered with the Warren Adult Center, and they used this side of our building, and then that way I gave that side, decided to do free, because if they would tutor our children, our kids, or tutor any adult that came into the building and be able to help them get certifications. And so they did that, and we rented to the Riley Foundation an office space. And so we utilized that whole building for the kids, and we were running 67 to 72 students, 72 every Wednesday night until COVID hit. Then we started dropping off on the students. But as we were over there through the week, people would walk in that were adults that were looking for help because they always thought we were a recovery center. And we began to look at the Recovery Cafe that is based out of Seattle. And they've been going for years, and they're all over the United States. And I went to the board and said, we need a recovery cafe for adults because they're coming in and they need help, they need a place to go so we can have other meetings and recovery coaching. All of our staff are trained recovery coaches, and most of them are all certified. And so the board said, you don't have any money. And I said, I know, but what can we do? So, but we did apply for the Division of Mental Health grant through the state, and they came on board and they funded the Recovery Cafe. And we've been going 2.5 years inside the cafe. So we have youth on Monday, we have youth on Wednesday. We have adults on Tuesday, adults on Thursday, and adults on Saturday. And we serve that homeless population that you guys keep hearing about. And they're in there every day, charging their phones, doing what they need to do. In the winter, they're there to stay warm, and they attend classes that we have in there. In the summer, they're in there to be cool, and they attend recovery circles. They attend classes that we do. They will have them do sit down with a coach. How can we help you with resources? Refer them to counseling. But the majority of them come in and they wash their clothes. So we have a washer and dryer there that we offer to the community. And they, youth bring their clothes. I seen that was a need once I seen the youth wasn't, sometimes they live in not great things. And we brought a washer and dryer in there, and I would pick up their clothes and we would bring them to the landing, and then we would take them home. But then when we did the adults, DCS has called us, like I've shared with that with you guys, and said, hey, we have a family of 5 and they're not having running water. They all came over, they showered because we have a shower there, and they all washed their clothes and we fed them. So we serve food 6 nights a week. We feed people 6 nights a week. We give away home packs to go home with them. We give the homeless a lot of water in the summertime, but they come in and they wash their blankets, they wash their pillowcases, we give tents to them, we find work boots for them, and just clothing. We have a clothing room, and we supply clothing for free and hygiene packets. Everything we do over there at that building, nobody pays 1 single dime. And we do a lot of free recovery coaching. We do a lot of mentoring. I meet with a lot of students one-on-one when they can't get into counseling, and they're from everywhere. And oh yeah, that's our mission, to provide a safe place for members of the community to have access to individual programs to give them hope, real-life strategies to break the cycles of dysfunction and destruction behaviors. Really, what we want to do is and I'm just going to, because I'm a faith person, when we went over there to that building, we walked through the door, I literally heard, take off your shoes, you're entering holy ground. And I just say that because that's what he spoke to me. And I knew that anybody that walked through the door, that even though we partner with the behavioral court, DJ, we have one of our recovery cafe ladies sit on that board, on that staffing, and we are in the jails doing 2 recovery circles. We're a soft handoff from the jail to the recovery cafe when they stay in the county. I knew that matter to God and they should matter to us. And we wanted to be able to offer those services to the community. We are a vital piece of free to the community of what we do. And a lot of people don't know everything we do over there. So in the city, we have a recovery walk. We started that. We honor somebody whose life passed away. And that slide, that if you see that, we are the only building in the county that has a naloxone box outside of its building. We readily fill that with 10 Narcans a night, and it's always empty. We give training to Narcan inside the lane, and then we take it to events that we go to hand it out. But so anybody that needs Narcan, no questions asked. No, what do you look like? What's your demographics? They just go there and they get Narcan, which all of us should carry at least 2 wherever we are in our purse or whatever. And so we partnered with Overdose Lifeline for that, and we do a report, and we're on a meeting with them once a month for Overdose Lifeline. So that building, when Mayor Titus came to me at my recovery walk last year, he said, I know you've heard we're going to tear that building down. And when Doug was getting ready to sell it, the city bought it when Mayor Fleming was in, and he said, Linda, I'll buy that, but I'm going to use that as a parking lot in 5 years. Well, it's 2.5 years. The building it's a mess. It needs a lot of work. And I said, I have not heard anything like that when Titus told me that. And I was like, what? When are you going to do that? He said, June. It's in September. And I said, what? What are we going to do? Where are we going to go? We have all these programs. And they have said that they're going to wait till September to tear the building down. And if you have never been into the landing, I encourage you to walk through, because I know it looks just like this building, like these walls, but I'm telling you, it is way more than a building. Our students' handprints is all over that place. People's lives are in there. So I was like, oh my gosh, we need help. So we have all these students and the luau that supports us. We do the recovery walk that supports the recovery cafe. We were just awarded Division of Mental Health another grant for the recovery cafe for the next 2 years that helps sustain the recovery cafe. And then here's our statistics. 4,674 meals we've served to youth and adults in 2024. 763 meals to go that we give away for them to take home. 15,263 cups of coffee, 414 showers taken in our building, and 247 loads of laundry have been done in 2024, all free. But listen, this is the truth, Pam. Oh, here she is. This is Pam, and I just hear I know it's late, but I just want you to hear just 3 minutes of her story.
Hi, everyone.
Pam.
Oh, hey.
3 years ago, I was homeless living, I'm sorry. I get emotional about it. 3 years ago, I was living in my car, and I ended up getting arrested for a DUI. I served 2 months in jail, learned about the cafe in the jail, and from then on till now, I've been in the cafe. I would look for employment. I said I didn't care what days I had off, but I needed Tuesday off because that was my recovery day, and they were very supportive of me. So I went in every Tuesday. I became a volunteer kitchen team lead. I then became a part-time kitchen aide in the kitchen, and then I became full-time. I'm full-time kitchen coordinator, plus some other things that I do. But now I also had the peer recovery coach training, and I do facilitate in the same jail that I was in 3 years ago. I'm over 2.5 years sober, and I so appreciate the cafe because I am also a believer, and I believe God. He sat me down in jail and led me to the cafe so I could serve the people that I once was. And we also have clothing donations and everything. Thank you.
Thank
Great
you.
story.
Thank you. Thank you.
Pam.
Mhm.
Yeah. So like I said, everything we offer is free. Everything. And these are community partners. We partner with just about everybody in the community. Like I said, we're on the behavioral court, the community correction. They send youth and adults over there. The Hancock County Health Department comes once a month and they do A1C testing, cholesterol testing, and blood pressure testing. Insurance navigators that come in. We have treatment centers that will come in to the cafe once a month to provide. And we have people that walk in. There's been several people that have walked in that is high or drunk, and we've called a treatment center I have, and they've sent an Uber, and they've went into treatment they've come picked them up right at the landing and take them straight. So we partner with all the local nonprofits. So when we found out we were losing a building, we went everywhere looking, and everything's $500,000, just like we were looking for TK. And Tammy has been such a huge proponent of us. You know, we do a Christmas stocking giveaway to our kids every year. And Tammy and her team they've helped serve dinner, provided meals. And we do a Thanksgiving meal for them. And then and so we've been looking at buildings, and I've been going everywhere. And I was like, well, maybe I went to my pastor. I was like, maybe this is the end. I don't know, of the landing. But then we had Doug Duggar call me, who Doug's here. And Doug Duggar also owned Talitha. So when I was looking for a home for TK, he held the note while we did it and we paid him $100. A very low price. And so he came and he said, hey, I've got this building over here. I want you to look at it. I think the landing is vital to the community. Come and look at it. And I was like, oh my gosh, at a very low rate of $150,000, which is low to me because everything we're looking at that people are trying to ask us for is $700,000 or $7,000 a month. And so the board said that looks about the best we can do. It has a yard. Our kids could be out back. Our adults could be out back, you know, and not be around outside. And we could have our naloxone box. It just needs a lot of work. And Doug graciously said, I'll hold the note and for you, but we need the inside of it. It has a basement too. It has all the offices we need and all the small groups we need. And Doug even offered to do the roof for us. So whatever that looks like, he's doing that. So I'm just I've never really come and asked anything about the landing from you guys, and I'm nervous about it, but I don't want to lose the landing. You guys can think about that, but it's opiate money. We treat opiate people. And that's our lane. And so this is 150, or we got a contractor that's going to donate all of his time to contract and project oversee. We're in the process of getting all of our paperwork to the city with Joni and Donna Butler and the mayor, so they are on board seeing everything that we do. And it needs about $200,000. So that would hold the note, and if we would transition to do that, and that's what I. So any questions about that? Or Tammy, or who we are, what we do, or?
You did a great job, great presentation. Thank you.
I don't have any questions, but I'm trying to figure out, and I don't know much about the unrestricted funds, but I'd like some time to take a look into those, because what I look at now, we have a certain amount of unrestricted funds to use for opioid, and what I see, it says the local unrestricted fund, you can use 15% of it for housing-related projects, or at least that's what I see. I don't know if you can just use it all carte blanche. You still have to comply with municipal spending rule, whatever spending rules there are, and report to the FSSA. But I don't know if it's more than that or not. Do you, Keely,
My
know if that's more?
understanding was that the restricted funds had to be used in accordance with what's laid out in the National Opioid Settlement, which is casting a pretty wide net, right? I mean, anything where you're serving people with opioid use disorder, expanding services, et cetera. My understanding on the unrestricted was that technically this government could do anything they want with that portion. It's a much smaller portion. I've been hopeful from the get-go, and in our first round of giving away opioid money, we did give away the unrestricted with the restricted. And being as our cash balances are as healthy as they are in general fund and elsewhere, I've been hopeful that we would use all the opioid funds for this type of purpose, rather than try to capture 170 just to have around.
The restricted looks like it's restricted treatments and things, and not
Right.
so much.
Yeah, and that's the
Structures.
600, little over 600,000. That has to be used for projects like these. The 100, the smaller number, unrestricted, I mean, I think you could use that to buy pencils and paper for this office if you wanted.
But I'm not sure, will they restricted by a structure, though? Can you buy a structure or a structure or repair structure with the restricted?
Oh, I see what you're saying.
That's what I'm trying to say, because it looks like it's, restricted's all treatment-based.
Oh.
And it doesn't look like it would allow us to give unless there was a treatment need. But the unrestricted looks like there's a certain percentage that we could potentially pledge. But it also comes with like what I look at as a 15% use, and I'm not
Pulling
sure.
up Exhibit E. So if you look at Exhibit E of the National Opioid Settlement Document, which is several pages, they break down, and it's kind of like an including but not limited to type of verbiage.
But it doesn't give you a percentage of unrestricted you could use. You could use all of it if you want to.
Right, you can use all your unrestricted on whatever you want. Restricted does need to be used for an allowable use, and I think that, I mean, nalox, Narcan, is, for example, the distribution, expand training on Narcan, increase distribution of Narcans and eligible use. The expansion of warm handoff programs and recovery services, broaden the scope of recovery services to include co-occurring SUD, provide wraparound services to individuals in recovery, including housing, transportation, job placement and training, and childcare. So it doesn't preclude you from capital versus operational, and it's all in the vein of offering these services. It goes on, hire additional social workers, hire behavioral health workers, provide evidence-based treatment and recovery supports. prevention programs, syringe disposal programs, evidence-based data collection programs. So it's pretty broad once you're in this lane of recovery services.
So Linda, you mentioned 150,000 and then 200,000.
Well, no, 200 was just a total number. And if either we paid Doug or he holds my note, then I would take that and just redo the fence. Joni wants to see a fence back there. We got a quote for a had somebody come over and do some inspection, and I have a list of that has to be redone. I can't move in there like it is.
But the total is about 200,000, is that what you're saying? Now, are you asking Greenfield and?
Well, I would just say 200, just so we could get some things, and I'll pay monthly to, unless the money has to go to pay for the building, and then we try to, have fundraisers to get it done, get the inside of it done. We can't go in there yet. Like, I wish we could move in there right now because that building over there is not well. But we have to do things. We have to get it ready.
Well, the city has requested, for zoning purposes that, certain things be done to accommodate the use and things like that.
And Tammy's been working with the city. Yeah.
Are they also considering money for it?
They have not offered me any money, and I had dinner with Guy.
Have you asked for it?
I'm going to go before them. It makes me nervous, but I'm going to do it and ask for money.
Well, they have their application process coming up too for the next budget. They take requests for like the coming year, and they're due in June, I think, is when.
Yeah. So I'll go before them and ask them for something, but the community over them. But I knew that building was going to eventually get down to a parking lot, but I didn't know that soon. I did know, you're just not always foresighting that the way it was.
Right.
So, yeah.
And if there wasn't more questions for them, something that didn't get included is our third person is here from the church that.
I appreciate you guys. I really do.
Thank you.
That's what you do. I appreciate you.
Thanks.
Sure.
What do we usually?
I think
what are
they
we
should do
using
Imagine
liquid
Fun
money
and we'll
for
give
right
them
now?
all the Yopia money.
Okay.
How about that?
There's nothing active.
Nothing active? Okay.
We got a first truck years ago.
Right.
I mean, I sit
Went through
here,
a process and
a
built that
resident of
out.
Vern Township.
I know.
I'm very familiar with Fort Holden, McCourtville.
Keep throwing away, you guys recycle
None
it.
of this touches them.
I just didn't know if any of them want
No,
to come back.
Greenfield should come me up.
No, there's
These
no,
people would
nothing
be on the
budgeted,
street.
and I think we said it would.
Evening. As a matter of introduction, I am Anthony Scott. I am the associate pastor at the Greenfield Church of God. Tonight, we're coming to speak with you about an opportunity that we think is going to be transformational for the city of Greenfield and the county of Hancock. We've been working with the sheriff, or talking with the sheriff, I should say, and realized there's a gap where there's services like Talitha Kum for women, there's a gap for men. So what we are proposing, and I'll let you read through the documentation a little bit, is a transitional housing for men coming out of the recovery program already operated by the Hancock County Jail. So the sheriff would they'd go through their recovery process through the jail. But as they were talking previously, there is challenges with affordable housing. This would give that opportunity, and we're proposing a house. We own the land. We've already purchased the land. This would go right next to our church out on East. We're located at 1561 East Main. And we own the land west to it. We recently acquired that. And we've done a demolition on a building that was there, on a house that was there. It was beyond repair. So we demoed that, and we have this. You can see we would build, it's already zoned for commercial residential. So there's nothing that needs to be done there. So we want to start building a duplex unit there. This would allow housing for up to 8 men in that facility. We would be a level 1 recovery residence as we start. And then it would be a faith-based program, obviously with the church operating it. We would provide regular counseling as well as group meetings led by leadership within the church. But also we would still be partnering with the county and the sheriff, who actually is the one who invited us here to be a part of this. We would partner with them to continue that recovery beyond the 4 walls of the jail. The location, he's indicated that the location is ideal for them. It's close to downtown, but also close to the jail. So as services are needed, it's also in proximity to other places like the hospital and things. We have offered to help with transportation. And so because we have buses and vans that are owned by the church, so we would offer transportation to services as needed through a volunteer program in our church. But this is really an opportunity for these men to get their feet on, as they step out, they can earn a little bit of money because they usually come out with jobs. So they'd be able to get established and move on to that next step on their own and on their journey. So this is really just that transition from jail to what's next in their life. Our pastor, who apologized he could not be here this evening, he actually won a state singing competition and was invited to Gatlinburg to come down and compete in a national competition. So he's down there singing. But he has a heart for this. He absolutely does. He is a carpenter by trade. He has a dream that he would like to even extend training to these men, that, some carpentry or contracting skills that they could gain, even if it's not to be a contractor, repairs in their own home. When they move beyond that, they have that ability. So this is really an opportunity for men, and it's a cycle. We anticipate these 8 men would come out. As one transitions out, we'd bring in more as working with the Hancock County Jail. Our request is a $450,000, and that would build and furnish both units. There's some underground work that needs to happen. We need a new septic system and everything that we need to go there. And we would work on that. So the cost breakdown is on the second page in your folder. You see the floor plan. That we may make some adaptations to that to make even better room for the men. But this is the basics of the outside and the inside, so you can kind of see how that would operate. With that, I would be happy to entertain any questions you may have.
The property west of your church
Mm-hmm.
and what used to be, I think your parsonage, wasn't it, at one time?
Many years ago.
I don't know if that was actually a parsonage at that time.
It was next to Field, so it's in between the church and what used to be Fields Tree Service. So
It's right next to the creek.
there.
Okay, very good, thank you.
Mm-hmm. There's a couple garages that sit that are still
Not the
standing.
Grace Banquet Hall and all
No.
that?
In front of it.
It's in front of it?
Yes,
Very good,
exactly.
Thank you, okay. My logistics down.
I did see that you're gonna get certified as a level 1, so unsupervised, unmanned. Are you still gonna have an offering of recovery resources?
Yes, we would partner with the sheriff as well as, and I spoke with him, he would help us connect with like the hospital and continue those services beyond what was done in the jail.
It's still Hancock County property.
Drug testing?
Yes.
It is. It's county.
It is not in city limits.
Correct.
I'm sorry.
And drug testing, will you be testing the residents?
That would be we'd partner with the jail as well, and to continue that, yes. Because I believe that's a requirement of level 1, anyway, drug testing.
So would the county fund it then? Or
That we've not worked through the exact details of all of that, but our intent is the church is going to have some sweat equity into this program, not in just building the house, but providing
services as much as possible. The church is intending to provide some of that as well.
Who would manage this facility?
We're going to create a private 501c3 called City of Hope Greenfield. It will have a board. It will be tied directly as a ministry through the church. And we will have a committee, like kind of a management committee. We've actually have that committee established now, and we're the ones kind of working through this process. This is our first foray into this, but we are connecting with resources to make sure these men get the best opportunity coming out of jail.
Does anybody in your organization have experience running something like
Not directly, no. We're connecting with resources that do. There's other organizations that have been tied to our larger denomination out of Atlanta and other places that have done this on a very large scale. So but they started small. So our intent is to be working with them and understanding that and learning that as well. And as well as using local resources. The jail has some fantastic people that are running that program, and we've already connected with them and started talking and understanding what is going to be required to make this happen.
I think I'm missing whatever's going on down there.
Oh, well. Who would this be restricted to, or would it only be opioid addicted individuals?
I would have to look to I don't know exactly all of that you serve. It would be anyone that would come through the jail program.
But what would their crimes be?
Nonviolent.
Nonviolent, that would
Okay.
be a stipulation.
Yeah, it's not, for this program, it would be nonviolent drug or alcohol.
Okay.
And this is Krista Pike. She's also on the committee that is managing this.
Lifetime member of the church as well. I had the pleasure of meeting with Sheriff Burkhart and his team, and they, part of the mission was asking how can we help? Like, where is the hole in the community? And a big part of it was there's no place for men. Talitha Coombe, kudos to you guys for all the work that you're doing. It is definitely noticed, even as a business owner myself, that I see the good that is happening in the community, and we want to be a part of it as our church. So finding out what the need is, and our pastor, he has a heart for this. This is where he is. This is where he lives. He likes to say he's from 42nd Street and Post. That's where he grew up, and so now he's here. And but we met with the sheriff and their group, and it started out, can you do bunk beds? How many people can you fit in there? Because in the recovery program in the jail, they create families or their pods. And the idea is that as they graduate from those pods, they're very well in tune with the individuals that are going to reside in our building, and we would be able to facilitate their need, but also knowing, I'm trying to get my thoughts together, I'm sorry, but providing them resources to become accountable and to reestablish themselves into the community. They told us that the people that are being released from jail, they don't want to leave Hancock County because there's something special here. And I think we all know that. And so part of that is allowing these individuals to be able to stay in the county and step into that, because we do know it's expensive, especially if you want to rent. And we heard testimony, I'm sorry, her name has eluded me, but we have heard testimony from her that, it is expensive to rent and to have all the things that you need depending on what that private organization requires to get in the door. So the idea for us as a committee that we've come together would be low rent, whether it be, we don't have an exact amount, but we've thrown out, a couple few $100s a month to get in there. Not require rent the first week of them coming in because they're coming out of jail. They have nothing. So, giving them that first week to get their first paycheck, to work with them and have resources. So this is it just kept growing in the meeting, and we ended up having to cut it off because we were running out of time. But the need is there. We have the support of the jail, and then we also have the the support of from our church as well as the community. So that's why we're coming here and trying to fulfill the need. And it starts with the 4 walls and the foundation. And that's what we're coming to you for. That went wrong. Sorry.
And our goal in doing this is to not get a mortgage, not have any of that, so we can put money into the services and to helping these men make that transition. The housing will be completely furnished, so there will be nothing that they need coming in, right down to pillowcases and sheets. We will have that for them. Obviously, coming out of jail, they may not have that, so we want to make sure and we want to make it as normal as possible, as much as home we can make it. So when they do make that transition, many of these guys have been in jail for several years, maybe have they've been institutionalized a little bit. So they've got to have that, that move from living in a jail where you're told, or you're served your 3 squares every day. They've got to make that transition to, I've got to feed myself. I've got to cook. I've got to clean. I've got to do those things. I've got to buy insurance. How do I do that? We want to make sure they have those skills to be able to just be normal. I mean, what we would say is normal, it allows them this opportunity.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Can I ask you guys, as your church, have they done any other fundraising short of property provision for this?
Not at this point. Again, this is very early in the stages. I mean, with this opportunity to speak from you kind of came up, so we've not really made any of those yet.
Okay.
But we thought this was going to be an important step, and having the county be a part of it as well.
Do you folks have any, include the conversations with Love Inc. and? Yes. Well, is your church part of Love Inc.?
Not on a regular, they have called us for services and things like that, and we have fulfilled with that need. We don't have any kind of regular services that are provided through them, but we have worked with them before.
So part of our mission, we have 2 other residential properties on the church overall property. And so one of the parsonages is for our youth pastor. The other former parsonage is now a rental property that helps fund this mission and get it up off of the ground. So, and that was a new development.
And that's how we were able to acquire the land.
Yeah.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm gonna jump in real quick here and ask that we can give a thumbs up to advertise the Duke Energy Foundation Grant Fund 9100, and we just need a thumbs up to advertise.
Is that from us?
Nope.
No.
Okay.
No, I'm looking at Mary to see that she's serious.
You were looking
Yeah.
at, I thought
I was looking past you, I'm sorry.
Okay, yeah. Looking through me.
Establishing that fund tonight as well.
Okay.
So, and then now you gave me the okay to be able to.
Yeah, so that puts us done. So,
I move we adjourn the council meeting.
I second it.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We're adjourned.
Oh.
You guys get paid the big bucks, you can.
Well, I saw you had,
All right.
Yeah, we're getting real fat right down
You want to
here,
go?
let me tell you.
Yeah, let's do
This one?
let's do that.
I make a motion that we show our support
not even here.
for Turning Point
We're
Systems
doing
of Care
business down here.
in their application to assume the Community Mental Health Center certification for Hancock County and Hancock and Shelby
Oh,
counties.
Tammy, we adjourned while she was.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we
Can I bring it back to you?
submit a
doing
letter of
business down
support
here.
for the Turning Point Systems of Care and their application to assume Community Mental Health Center certification for Hancock and Shelby counties.
So don't throw that away.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes.
I mean, part of it does, but not some stuff that's old.
We used to have electronic tablets.
I can't hear anything that's going on.
I still got mine, but it just didn't work.
Exactly, we're doing business down here, folks.
Oh, sorry.
There's nothing about tablets, it's about.
Well,
But there you go.
Do you want to do?
I'll just start down the line
The
here.
out-of-state
Oh,
travel?
thank
What do
you.
got?
I got out-of-state travel
For Lace McCartney?
for Lace McCartney.
Okay.
I make a motion that we approve out-of-state travel for Lace McCartney. I'm trying to see,
This is mine.
that's theirs. It doesn't say where they're going.
Purpose of trip, right here.
Oh, there's, there's no purpose.
If you read, I actually, this is my business, but I read it earlier. In the description, she's getting an award.
Oh, okay,
It tells what the award's for and the education she'll be able to bring back to Hancock.
okay,
It's actually a very nice award.
okay.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. We approve the out-of-state travel for Lace McCartney as presented. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. Gary, if you want to go and sign.
Yep.
I know.
Your name? Right there. What's this, 2026?
That's, you got one of these. Everybody got a copy of the 2026 CCD budget summary.
Okay. So,
So we don't need to do anything with
okay,
that. You just,
Burnt, I got a,
yes. Yes.
Right, so I'll be on last one.
okay, I make a motion that we approve the release of the performance bond for our RLS Development LLC on Mohawk Trail Section 1, 2, and 3 storm sewer for $1,072.60. Okay, I didn't, thought there was a decimal. $1,072,063.
Yep.
Second.
Second, it's been moved and seconded. We approve the release of the performance bond for RLS Development LLC on Mohawk Trail, Section 1, 2, and 3, storm sewers in the amount of $1,072,063. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes.
We aware of the office furniture. This is for downstairs, yeah.
The only thing I can't figure out yet, I can't figure out what fund to pay Bernie's office furniture for downstairs. I want to put it just for, I want to look through potential.
To be determined.
Corey's.
Does that fit into maintenance?
I don't know that it does.
No, because he needs, it was 25,000.
$695.
Do we want to chance it?
I've been looking for some.
That's this back down.
What was the total?
Total was $25,695, I think. We got two of them.
Okay, so should we just hold on signing it, or can we go ahead and approve it with the fund to be?
Okay, we have
Be late,
we
yeah.
have two.
Okay,
Two different? Okay, we got Office 3, I make a motion that we approve Office 360, purchase of office furniture for the IT department here in the annex. The first one is for $4,029.30. And the second one is for $25,695.
with the funds to be determined.
Yeah, funds to be determined.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. We approve the two quotes from Office 360 for office furniture for the downstairs, the new offices downstairs in the annex building. The first quote in the amount of $4,029.30. The second quote for $25,695, with a fund to pay out of determined at a later date. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes.
Okay, this, not on here. That, we got an ordinance, hang on, we'll go back to that.
Yeah, we do, that was one that the council just asked us to.
Okay, I make a motion that we approve ordinance number 2025-4C. an ordinance establishing the Duke Energy Foundation Grant Fund 9100 as presented.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we adopt ordinance number 2025-4C, an ordinance establishing the Duke Energy Foundation Grant Fund 9100 as presented. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes.
Okay. I didn't know what it was.
It's right
Okay.
here.
Oh, okay.
And that's coming out of his budget, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Make a motion that we approve the executive assurance agreement for an annual contract billing amount for $15,558.60. And it'd be, billing cycle will be quarterly, $3,889.65. And this is for his IT.
Mm-hmm.
So, to be paid out of IT.
His IT budget.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we accept the non-auto renewing executive assurance agreement from Gibson Tel Data with Hancock County in an annual billing contract amount of $15,558.60, billed quarterly at $3,889.65, with a one-year term ending in 2026. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes.
Now, this is for Corey. Is it for propane or?
It's a propane tank that he needs to put behind their new office building right there on the.
Okay, because I see
It's gonna help
propane.
heat it, isn't it?
And,
Yes.
and they will deliver it.
Yes.
Okay, so I make a motion that we approve the non-residential customer agreement with, between Hancock County Facility Maintenance and, where do you see that? AmeriGas. Propane for the maintenance building as presented.
And the rental fee amount
Yeah.
is $0. Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the non-residential customer agreement between Hancock County Facility Maintenance and AmeriGas family of companies for a
Propane tank.
propane gas storage tank to be put at 921 West Osage Street, and a document as presented. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. Signed.
I don't see anything else.
Yeah.
Yes, we did.
Question.
You got a question?
So, go ahead. Do you have a question?
You had conversations with the auditor's office about a Nelson alarm bill?
$60 bill?
Yes.
I
The
think,
recurring $60 bill?
I think they're trying to figure it out.
Well, I keep getting these bills.
Go ahead and pay them.
Corey was the one that was last handling them.
Lori was?
Was trying to figure out what was going on.
Okay, because I was seriously up in December, I started getting the bill for the alarm. I hadn't gotten for 3 years. So I don't know.
I kind of know what's good.
I think we've gotten those
there was-
bills, but nobody's paid them, have they?
Well, there's oversight, and Nelson Alarm overcharged us.
Okay.
So for like 3 years, they did not charge us for this, is what John Joe Cantus found.
Okay.
So now they started back up again. Last December was the first invoice, $60. However, Nobody knows where it's from. Nobody knows who.
Where's it going?
Well, not Hancock County Commissioners, Sheriff's Office, got my address. But there again, I didn't know that because I just like all of a sudden started getting it. It's like, if I was gonna get this alarm bill, why haven't I gotten it for 3 years?
Well, then pay it.
That's what I said.
For an alarm, but I don't know if it's part of an entire alarm pop
System.
Might be worth a conversation with Joe Canis.
Well, I thought we'd passed that. And I thought it was back in the auditor's office.
The last email I got was that, but I don't think it went anywhere.
Corey or John?
John emailed Corey.
Okay, I'll put all this.
All right. Well, I wasn't on any of it, so I don't know any of it.
I just want to
I'll find out.
look at it. I'm gonna drop it.
Corey, what's going on?
Let everybody look at it.
Oh. So it solved nothing.
I know. They make us pay for
Before
it.
you go,
Okay. Do we have any input from the
Any,
public?
and then DJ Davis got us all just on a date to be able to.
You on that too?
Yeah.
You coming?
Yeah.
Okay, you wasn't on my email, so.
Oh. I'm just trying, if you can figure it out without me, great. I just said, so he was saying this, that he goes, I think the sheriff may give training, and I know you may have a different answer, but I'm like, I'm not gonna get this figured out, and I don't think we're gonna get it figured out in this meeting tonight, so let's just sit down and say what needs to be said.
Yeah, I've been calling a few other sheriffs to see how, if or how they handle it.
Uh-oh.
I've been finding out that they don't have any bailiffs.
Yeah.
It's probably, and they're like, hey, it sounds like you're in a pickle. I said, well, it sounds like it.
Well, we stand by you and not handing out
Special
badges
deputies,
for
yeah.
special deputies because of the liability. And when you have people over there, like, I think I met the gentleman today who was that guy, older gentleman. I wouldn't want him to be armed with a firearm.
Yeah, and I don't, I mean, and honestly, hiring or, I mean, we're not doing something. Gonna certify them.
Right.
So I got issues with the whole thing, so.
Right.
Oh, but yeah, I told him the 8th.
Okay. Yeah.
I think Brian was good with me.
Okay.
But I'm still gonna do a little bit more research on my end to see if I can find anybody that does anything like that. But so far, I haven't found anybody that is willing to put their neck on the line and say, because first person is gonna be, I'm gonna be the first guy.
Sacrificial lamb.
I'm gonna be the guy. Says, well, it's your guy, you deputized him or you qualified him, you know. Judges can't get sued. I sure as hell can.
Mr. Ellsbury, what do you think about that?
I was just watching the Pacers win in overtime.
Hey, that's
You
where.
came down here to do that?
No, I was here, but I didn't want to leave because I'm on the Wi-Fi.
Do you have any public comment? That's where Scott was tonight. He goes, I cannot make this meeting tonight because I got a family member from California and they're there. So it should have been live tonight.
Right. We need a motion to adjourn, though, do we
Yeah,
not?
any
Make a
other
motion to
business?
adjourn?
I already did.
Oh, okay, second.
All those in favor of adjournment signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion approved. We are adjourned.